And we are back for a special episode of the Big Ten Live Show. My name is John Diadamo. I'm going to be your host for the next hour, followed by Tony Altimore. And I believe Tim Prangley's joining after that. Mega news coming out right now on the Big Ten. So here's what we know at this present moment. And forgive me because I'm just coming off of back-to-back meetings, so I'm not as prepared as I normally am. I'm filling in for Mark Rogers today, as is Tony in about an hour. Here's what we know right now. It's called the Flex Protect model, Flex Protect Plus. Okay, so here's how this is going to go based on what we're hearing live. No divisions, 9 games a year. Flex Protect Plus. What that means is you're going to have protected matchups. There's 11 overall protected matchups. And we're hearing that every team is going to play every other team once every 2 years. So I am currently watching. So if you want to watch the Big Ten network right now, USC's opponents, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, and UCLA. That's USC's Big Ten Conference opponents for 2024. Notable there, Michigan, not Ohio State. USC 2025 versus Indiana, versus Michigan State, versus Nebraska, versus Penn State, UCLA, Minnesota, Ohio State, Rutgers, Wisconsin. UCLA 2024, they're playing Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, USC, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, and Rutgers. UCLA kind of got screwed. Okay, 2025 for UCLA, much easier. Maryland, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, and USC. Folks, this is going to be coming at you hot and heavy. Please send a super chat. I will not be able to keep up with all the comments. But yeah, UCLA got screwed in 2024. USC is playing Michigan. Why? Because the ratings for that game are going to be off the hook, and we all know it. I'm a little surprised, though, that they're not playing Ohio State. All right, I'm going to try to find what I can in terms of comments. Yeah, so Big Ten West is gone. Mediocrity is gone, meaning everybody plays everybody every 2 years. Okay, so UCLA plays Nebraska, Rutgers, and USC as their opponents to play. USC plays Penn State, UCLA, and Wisconsin. I guess those are considered the protected matchups, right? Or the I guess not fully protected, but UCLA is a fully protected matchup. Michigan's schedule, let's go. Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, UCLA, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio State, Rutgers, and USC. Michigan is going to have to play USC. Michigan's going to have to play Ohio State. And then in 2025, Northwestern, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, and Nebraska. That's the Michigan schedule for the next 2 years. Very interesting. Obviously, we know that Michigan is also playing Oklahoma and Texas in the back-to-back. There it is. Yes. Well, they're playing in 2024, so they're going to play UCLA in 2025. So the idea is that they play those. Yeah, they play multiple of those. I didn't see. So Michigan State is a protected matchup, as is Ohio State for Michigan. Sorry, I'm reading this pretty fast. So if I missed Michigan State, the Michigan State and Ohio State are protected matchups according to what I'm just reading on the screen. Ohio State, conference opponents, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Northwestern, Rutgers, Michigan State, Minnesota, Penn State, UCLA. Ohio State's going to have to play Penn State. Michigan, honestly, that doesn't seem super bad. And then in 2025, they have to play Indiana, Maryland, Nebraska, USC, there we go, Illinois, Michigan, Northwest. I can't even read. It's going so freaking fast. The bottom line is, folks, no more divisions, okay? Flex Protect Plus, meaning everybody's going to play everybody every 2 years. There are protected matchups. Ohio State has Michigan as a protected matchup. I don't know if LFG, if they're going in order or if this is jumbled. I'm assuming it's going in order. We're about to hear from Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith on the Buckeyes schedule in a little bit on the Big Ten Network. Belligerence is making a commentary about USC. So is Jason. Okay, here's the thing, folks, about USC. Everybody who's, I'm just gonna say this, because Tim's gonna say it later. So get ready, buckle up, because Tim's gonna be on here later, I believe. USC has already shored up their defense with the transfer portal. USC has maybe one of the best offenses in the country. They're going to continue that next year. USC is going to be a big factor in the Big Ten, period. They're going to be up there with Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State as one of the top teams in the Big Ten. And if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you, because they're already basically trouncing most of their Pac-12 opponents, or at the very least beating them. They went 11-1 in Lincoln Riley's first year. Do I think they'll struggle a little more in the Big Ten? Yeah. I think anybody would admit that, when you have to play some of these teams like, I don't know, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, that's not easy. UCLA also tends to be pretty good every now and then. But it's looking like USC is going to be one of the top teams in the Big Ten. I'd still put Michigan and Ohio State ahead. I'd put Penn State and USC in a similar spot at the moment, but that's right now. In a year, they might hire Jim Leonard as the defensive coordinator. More of a Big Ten mentality. They might do that. Or if you stick with Alex Grinch, who does know a thing or two about defense, Tim likes to talk about the fact that he was hired by some of the best minds in the college football universe. He might stick around. But I think we would all admit that if there's another year where the defense lets down the team, that there's probably going to be a change made. I don't think USC is going to run the table in the Big Ten. But a lot can change in a year, Tim. So I could be very wrong. USC, listen, Michigan is losing JJ at some point. They're definitely losing Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards after this year. They're going to the NFL. It's possible, but USC is going to have a tough time, as is Michigan, by the way, as is Ohio State. We're kind of expanding the Big Ten East mentality to the whole freaking conference now. I'm excited about that. Now we don't have a mediocre division anymore. I'm sorry to those of you who are Iowa fans, Wisconsin fans, etc., but I think even you would admit Big Ten West has won 0 conference conference titles since they established these divisions. The last time was Leaders versus Legends, I believe. Wisconsin won in 2011, I think. You have to go all the way back to Leaders Legends. If you want your comment to for sure be highlighted, send a super chat. Because I'm telling you right now, those get immediately starred. And you can send a super chat, and I will read the comment on the screen. If you don't send a super chat, I will try. That's all I can promise. I will try. I'm putting the link here for anybody to call the show. I'm going to, at first, probably take one at a time, especially with, because I'm only doing this show till 5:30 Eastern today. I have another appointment I have to get to, but Mark asked me to fill in, and I was more than happy to do that for him. Minnesota Golden Gophers have Iowa's and Wisconsin as protected matchups. Makes sense. Minnesota plays Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska, USC, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Penn State, and Purdue in 2025. I must have missed 2024. Like I said, we're going hot and heavy here. The interview with Tony Petitti is about to happen. New Big Ten commissioner. Let's hear this out. I said U of M would run the table in 2023, not 2024. That's a whole different universe, man. I don't think either of them will. We have our first call today. Golden Playbook. Golden Playbook. Thanks for calling in, man.
How's it going?
It's going good. We're just getting some immediate reactions from the Big Ten news here and the new model. What are your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
Well, I'm actually we had some great news today. Notre Dame had some great news that we're getting a new athletic director.
Wow.
So I think it's getting close for us to join the Big Ten.
So is the new athletic director more Big Ten interested, do you think?
I think so, yeah. It's just a theory, of course, but
sure.
People are thinking that it's getting closer to that because our old athletic director wasn't really I don't think he was going to want to join the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, even Will ND, who has been very pro-independence, has said that the AAU move was heading us a little bit closer to Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I trust Will on that, and also what I've been hearing. I think you guys are headed for the Big Ten eventually.
Yeah.
Which, unless there's an unless. If you can negotiate $75 million a year with NBC for playing Navy, then you guys will probably stay independent. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I think that we're definitely going to join the Big Ten.
So Tony Petitti, brand new commissioner of the Big Ten, is basically saying, bottom line, that this is better for competition. We're not going to have the Mickey Mouse division of. He didn't say that part, but you're not going to have an imbalance in divisions anymore, because now you really are going to put the two best teams in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, isn't Miami? They possibly might be going to the Big Ten as well, right? And Stanford.
Big Ten, yeah. Miami just joined the AAU as well. So Miami and Notre Dame, we've been talking the last couple of days about that possibility.
Yeah, that's another interesting matchup because I think us and Miami's had some great matchups. Like I wasn't even born though when they were facing each other, but when they had those matchups in like the 80s.
Tim Armstrong, the answer is Michigan's protected rivals are Ohio State and Michigan State. LH, the answer is it's one now, meaning they are getting rid of divisions and the top two teams are going to be playing. We know this for a fact. It's being reported right here in the Big Ten Network. Welcome, Traveling Fools. Always love seeing you in here, man. Yo, yo, yo. So Notre Dame, here's the interesting thing. What would happen if Notre Dame joined the Big Ten? Then that may become another protected rivalry for Michigan, right? Because I think you can have up to 3. And they might have done that. They might have did that because of the fact that Notre Dame might be coming in. Because that's kind of the definitive example, I would think, of a third protected rivalry for Michigan, right?
Yeah. They're basically, what do you mean by that? Like,
meaning, oh, thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Yeah, we don't want to get shut down. So basically what I'm saying is if Notre Dame joins the conference, then currently Michigan has Ohio State and Michigan State as rivals. So now they could add Notre Dame as if you can have up to 3.
Oh, so you basically say like Ohio State would be our rival too.
Exactly.
And
Michigan
State again.
Well, Michigan. No. I'm saying Michigan would be the protected rivalry. I don't know about if you would consider Ohio State to be. I mean, that you're more of an expert in Notre Dame. No, Michigan and Notre Dame would be protected. They would always play.
Oh yeah. That's the one matchup I want back.
Yeah, I agree. It's way too long till the next game. Isn't it like 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's like 2033 or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, we got to play more often.
That'd be interesting to have a rival with Ohio State as well, though. Like, it'd be like you guys have a rival with them, and then that'd be pretty interesting.
Tim Prangley, who, as we know, just had an amazing guest on Sunday night's episode of Trojan Conquest Live. Check that out every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Michigan has a couple big seasons without a playoff win, and all of a sudden they're world beaters. How about beat TCU and then talk about beating USC? Yeah, I mean, TCU was not – there's no excuse for that. Jason and I both agreed on that too when we were on the panel. So I have no issue with that. Larry Pilgrim, thanks for joining us. Utah fan and 11-1, put it together. Ragtag team is scary. Yes.
Yes, and you beat USC twice. Thank you for that.
Utah is. I think people continue to sleep on Utah. The only reason they lost to Penn State, in my opinion, is the depletion at that point in the roster. Mm-hmm. I think a healthy Utah team beats a healthy Penn State team. Could be wrong. I'm sure I'll have a Penn State fan get really angry at me for that statement, but it's okay. Michigan State 2024 opponents: Illinois, Indiana, Ohio State, Purdue, Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Penn State. So that's Sparty in 2024. Notable, Ohio State and Michigan both playing, Penn State, but that seems pretty much like before. 2025, Michigan, Northwestern, Penn State, UCLA, Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and Wisconsin. So in 2025, Sparty is playing both of the West Coast teams. Very interesting. Yeah. Hopefully by then, Tuck will be coming. Michigan is Michigan State's only protected matchup, which doesn't surprise me in the least. And we have our first. Thank you so much for that, Guy Smithson. We have our first, and please keep them coming, folks. $1.99 super chat. Jason, you're not completely wrong there. USC basically did have kind of home field, at least in terms of general locale. Rose Bowl, not exact stadium, but they didn't have to fly to somewhere else. Although, to be fair, a lot of the bowl games are in places like Miami, etc. But yeah, thank you, Guy Smithson, for your super chat. So if you want your comment or question to be read on air, send in a super chat. I'm going to be posting a link again. Call the show. No mic needed. Let's go. So just so that you know, for those of you who don't know who I am and why Mark isn't here, my name's John Diadamo. Mark is taking a day. So he, like I said before, he's going to be taking some vacation days and some time to himself in June. So you're going to see a lot more of us and we're happy to fill in whenever he needs to so that he can gear up for the big season coming up. So you can find me on Twitter at John D'Adamo. I host Big Ten Live and also Michigan Wolverines Live. So joining us on our special episode of Big Ten Live is Anthony Manzano. Hey, buddy.
Hey, John. I have a question for you, actually. For you, with the Big Ten schedule that just got released, out of the top 10 teams, specifically, who do you feel has the weaker schedule in terms of overall schedule, strength of schedule?
I'd have to go back to the schedules. I literally just read it on the screen. Yeah,
between, would you say Michigan has? I know you're a Michigan fan, but do you feel their schedule's strong, or do you feel it's weak?
I don't think anybody's going to be talking about a weak schedule for Michigan in 2024. I'm pretty sure I saw USC, Ohio State.
Are they playing UCLA?
I don't think in 2024.
I know they're playing USC.
Yes, and remember, Michigan is also playing Texas in 2024. Are they playing Notre Dame? No, not until 33. But we're playing Texas in 2024 and 2027. We're playing Oklahoma in 2025 and 2026. So add that to now this additional difficulty with USC coming in. I would argue UCLA is off and on a tough team.
Does the Big Ten have a home and home series with the ACC the coming up years?
Oh, geez. Someone else is going to have to answer that. Iowa, here's their Big Ten conference opponents. Maryland, Nebraska, UCLA, Wisconsin, Illinois. Jeez, it's going so fast. Let me just go back. Okay. Minnesota, Ohio State, Rutgers, and USC. So Iowa's going to have to play USC, UCLA, and Ohio State. Holy crap. And Wisconsin. They are going to be playing a tough schedule. So, hey, Iowa fans in the chat, win all your games this year or win 11 games because next year, I hate to say it, but Iowa's probably not going to be in the title game. Whereas their schedule this year, they don't have to play Ohio State or Michigan until the Big Ten championship game.
Do they have to play Wisconsin or Minnesota?
Yes. Going to 2025, Iowa's playing Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Northwestern, Penn State, Indiana, Nebraska, Purdue, and Wisconsin.
Okay. Michigan State?
We read that a little bit ago. Here comes Nebraska, and I'll get back to it, I promise. Nebraska, we're doing live reactions here. Nebraska's playing Big Ten conference opponents: Indiana, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I'm throwing my remote around. Iowa, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, and UCLA. So actually not horrible for Nebraska. They've got kind of a gimme schedule in comparison to some of these others. So Nebraska 2024, look out. Might be seeing them.
So wait. The Michigan State game, is that at East Lansing or in Nebraska?
In 2024, it's versus, meaning so it'll be a home game. So okay. Yeah.
Okay. No, because for me, I feel the Big Ten, to me, I like how the Big Ten sets up their schedule. They don't allow their team to do, what is it called? What is the term that they don't allow their conference members to do neutral site games. I like they force the teams to face each other in their home stadiums, and stuff like that. That's honestly why, as a Canes fan, I would rather go to the Big 12, Big 10, because you guys make your conference members face each other instead of at their home stadium, instead of the lame thing that the SEC does because they're scared of their people, their teams losing at their opponent's home field, doing the neutral site, to be honest.
Antoine has asked me to read off the Nebraska schedule, so I'll do it. And now we have the 2025 as well. So in 2024, the conference games are for Nebraska, Indiana, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, at Iowa, at Northwestern, at Penn State, at Purdue, and at UCLA, which means you do have some, I mean, yeah, you've got some ats there, but Penn State to me looks like the toughest opponent on that schedule. That's a doable schedule for 2024. But guess what that means? They're going to get screwed in 2025. So let's look at their 2025 schedule. Yeah. So here we go. Nebraska in 2025 has to play Illinois, Iowa. Here we go. Michigan. Okay. Rutgers. Okay, fine. UCLA. Tough, potentially. Maryland, Minnesota. And then, oh my God, Nebraska has to play Ohio State, at Ohio State, at USC. Good luck. We've got Gene Smith. So Gene Smith is basically agreeing that it's a good system.
Wait, have you guys played USC?
Michigan hasn't played USC in a little while. We usually used to play them during bowls.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up on Wiki. Okay. So the full games, Michigan versus USC. The last game played was 2007 in Pasadena. 32-18 USC. And we have joining us, friend of the show and co-host of Trojan Conquest Live, Rick, LBC Trojans in the house. Hey, Rick.
Hey, what's up, John? Happy belated birthday. I hope you had a good one.
Hey, thanks, man. Hey, we're getting the news hot and heavy here, so I'm doing my best to keep it all straight. But how about that? No divisions, no top two teams playing against each other.
Mark called it correctly.
Yep.
So
yes,
I love this. I mean, we're going to join a real conference.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, you are.
Yeah. For those that think that USC is scared and they're not playing a tough schedule, or why aren't they playing Ohio State? Mm-hmm. Those are questions that I don't have.
Yeah.
But I ask anybody, once the 2024 schedules come out for all the teams in college football, mm-hmm. find me with a school with a harder schedule. USC is playing at Maryland, at Northwestern, at Penn State, at Purdue, at UCLA, at home versus Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois. Mm-hmm. We also have Notre Dame at home, and we open the 2024 season against LSU in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's going to be 11, a good game.
11 Power 5 teams. Name me another school that's going to play 11 Power 5 teams in their 12-game schedule.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear it.
You're right.
So I can see why they didn't schedule Ohio State. If you look at Michigan, or you look at UCLA, they're playing Michigan and Ohio State. Okay, USC is playing Michigan and Penn State. Mm-hmm. They're not going to make a school play 3 of those schools. Right. So they're not going to make USC play. This is just a guess. They're not going to make USC play a Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State all in the same year. Why?
Right.
That's not good.
Real quick. So Golden Playbook, if it's okay, I'm going to let you go just because I'm going to keep rotating out. That's okay. All right. But thanks for calling in, man.
Alrighty. Yep. Thanks.
And, looks like Tony. Okay. Cool. So there we go. All right. Oh, we're getting Illinois now. So we've got they're playing Iowa, Maryland, Michigan. One sec. I'm trying to keep up with this. Purdue, Michigan State, Northwestern, Ohio State, Rutgers, USC. So Illinois has a pretty tough schedule in 2024. What I'm realizing just from a high level, Rick, is that it seems like most of the schools basically have an easy year and a tougher year. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Just general high level.
I would agree with that. And, I'm looking at USC's 2025 schedule, and they have, like, for 2024, they give USC 5 Big Ten road games. And then in 2024, it makes sense. They're going to give us 4 road games. And they're going to do that with every team in the Big Ten. It's 4 and 5. You've got a 9-game schedule. So, USC has to play Ohio State and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Rutgers on the road. And keep in mind, we also have Notre Dame on the road in 2025. So those are 5 high-quality road games. And that's some traveling, but we knew that going in. But name me another school that's played at Ohio State, at Wisconsin, and at Notre Dame in their history. So to hear that you're scared, I just don't buy it. Maybe some people are uneducated about USC and its history. I'd be willing to clue you in on that. We're not scared of anybody. We even took the phone call from Nick Saban in 2016 and took a public flogging, a beating that I saw in Austin, Texas. So how many schools are going to go play Alabama at its peak? We did with Clay Helton. So to hear that USC's scared, come on.
Wait, did somebody say that?
Well, Jason Moose says we're scared.
Oh,
yeah. So,
the flip side of what Jason's saying isn't wrong either. When he's saying, so Michigan's schedule in 2024 is not easy, okay? Because not only is Michigan going to have to face Texas, now they're also going to have to face Ohio State, USC, and so that the only one that I don't see here that's like a super threatening one is Penn State. So I don't see Penn State listed for 2024.
Wait, sorry, I'm really confused. Did Michigan schedule a team that is not an orphanage for a non-conference game?
Isn't it crazy? Yeah.
But there are convents and orphanages that need to go to the big house. I'm shocked. I'm just teasing.
Tony Altimore is joining us. And
okay,
Tony's
sorry, I'll go back to eating dinner.
No, you're good. Tony, you're welcome to come in. He will be taking over for me though at 5:30 Eastern, so I can run and do things. But no, thank you all. Let's see here. Antoine, friend of the show, got to check this strategy of this Big Ten cannibalizing itself. Well, remember it's the 12-team playoff in 2024. So I don't think this is cannibalizing. I think this is just balancing the divisions the way that they should have been before. I don't think that it was a lot of integrity to have a Big Ten West division that was like McDonald's Funhouse and a Big Ten East division that was a complete meat grinder. Now it's more fair. And Gene Smith was just on the screen saying that exact thing. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, from a USC perspective, I completely understand why they went with Michigan versus USC in 2024. I thought it would be Ohio State, but I can understand why they picked Michigan. And because that game, the ratings, can you imagine? That's going to be up there with the top games of the year ratings-wise.
I'll tell you what, I love this. And I've got the utmost respect for Michigan, for all the teams in the Big Ten. And let me tell you, I've been a season ticket holder for 20 years, and this is the best home schedule by far that we've ever had. We've played Auburn, Arkansas in the past, Nebraska at the Coliseum. But to have the quality of teams and the number of teams, the 2024 home schedule with Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Notre Dame, that's crazy. That is crazy. So I love it. And then, on the road as well, it's going to be fantastic. And also playing LSU in Las Vegas. That's crazy. You're going to love it. And maybe why, some people might say, well, hey, Michigan's stepping up and they're going to have a tough 2024 schedule. I'm just being honest here. And no control of Michigan, with its previous schedule for this year and last year. But when you're playing 8 home games and you're playing the out-of-conference teams that you are, going to 2024 is a big step up. I mean, let's just be honest, because you just saw the schedule. And so that's going to take some adjusting.
There is a question about the 2024. There's a question, I'm trying to find it now, about, let's see, where is it? Oh, USC. So it's at USC in 2024. Michigan is going to USC in 2024. How about that?
Right. And that's going to be a huge game. The Iowa game will be a huge game at USC. Same with Wisconsin. Oh, my God. You know how many Wisconsin alums live in Southern California? Oh, my gosh. There's just as many as Michigan, if not more. I see them all the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. And so what the Big Ten did is they set this up perfectly because you have UCLA going to Michigan. You have Michigan going to USC. They got USC going to Penn State in that first year. And I believe they have Ohio State playing at UCLA in the Rose Bowl that first year. It's crazy. So
it's going to be, I'm going to tell you what, Rick, the amount of content that's going to be generated and the amount of conversations based on all this. Wow. It's going to be great for all of us who do this. And host shows related to college football.
That's right. And just I'll leave you with this, and I know you've got other callers, but I know I love our friends in the SEC. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And they've got the number one conference, but take a look at, and I credit LSU for playing USC. Yeah. That's great. So, the fact that SC's got 9 Big Ten games, they got Notre Dame and they got LSU. Yes, we are playing San Jose State, but let's be honest.
Everybody plays cupcake.
That's not a Tennessee Tech. No disrespect to Tennessee Tech,
right?
Or any of the the other FCS schools trying to make a name for themselves. And I like the SEC the way that they support them and promote those schools and give them a big old fat check, but you're not really going to find a cupcake on our schedule. And so I don't know how you could say scared. We're just following what the schedule dictates. Now, if USC does cancel Notre Dame or LSU, I'll be the first in line to take it from everybody. I just don't see that happening, though. I don't see you canceling.
You'd be joining, Rick. You'd be joining the club.
Yes,
because I've been taking it for the last 2 years. So
I will take it. But if we cancel a 97-year running rivalry with Notre Dame, shame on us.
Michigan canceled some games against UCLA, and the Big Ten's response is, "Yeah, now you get them every year."
Right.
Tony, great to see. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'll let you go, John.
I'm here. I'm just eating dinner in the background.
All right. Happy birthday, John. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, man.
Happy birthday, John.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. So it looks like UCLA. They're in the, it's not an every year, but they are in that other thing, the two where they're going to be playing every other year. Cause that's one of the key pieces here. The kind of, I try to keep it high level. It's that everybody plays everybody else every 2 years is kind of the idea. So kind of, or at least in terms of the protected, there are a few protected rivalries, but not as many as I was thinking. We do have, thank you for posting that. So join the show. Come on down.
Well, and John, what do you think? USC at Penn State is definitely going to have to be the whiteout.
Oh yeah.
That'll be amazing.
Absolutely. That's going to be great. And also Michigan going to USC in 2024. That game.
My best friend from high school is a devout Michigan fan, so we've already made plans for that. Whenever it is. Whatever day it is, we'll be there.
Hey, Alex Martin, thank you so much, and happy birthday to you as well. We're almost the same day, so now we know. You know, the John birthday, then the Alex birthday back to back. Yeah, you should have come on. So I did a birthday show a couple days ago, Alex. So we could have celebrated both. Absolutely. Michigan. Okay, I'll have to tackle this one more time. Michigan has duck good teams because of the same reason Ohio State is just canceled with Washington for more home games. Do I like it? No. I've said, how many times, Tony, have I said probably fire Ward Manuel for the ridiculous decision to cancel UCLA? I mean,
well, I heard that they just canceled the Washington game because they didn't want to play Mountain West teams. I'm just kidding, Husky.
Or that.
Husky fans, I'm teasing you.
And we do have a couple, so.
I know. I love the Huskies, actually. I'm teasing my Husky friend.
I know.
You know, I have to be careful with that because the other night, the other night, hold on, Larry, we're bringing you on in 1 second. The other night, I had an internet pause and I made a joke about Joey, you know, friend of the show, Mark's executive producer, you know, who we talk to all the time. Joey always jokes about his West Virginia internet. And somebody said, and so my computer froze. I said, oh, I must have Joey's West Virginia internet. And somebody people sent me screenshots. Somebody launched this whole like angry campaign that I was like venomous against the Big 12 because I said I had Joey's West Virginia internet. So I have to be careful. I guess I can't make jokes.
I do remember you saying that.
Yeah, but it was on Joey.
I didn't think you were going to catch like heat about.
Apparently all these like Big 12 people got really mad about I was being mean to the Big 12 because I made a joke about Joey and me like having bad internet for the day. Anyway, we got Larry Pilgrim, who's more cooler than I am.
Yeah, let's bring Larry in. Hey, Larry.
This is so great. This is so great that Tony's on there. Well, there he goes.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm just having dinner.
Tony, I am now being called Larry Altimore on all the other channels because I'm anyway.
Oh, that is too funny. I'm sorry, Larry.
That's all right.
And by the way, Larry, you guys have some your rival has some vile individuals that cheer for it.
Yeah, they've been in the closet complaining for about 10 years. So, I mean, I get it. They're coming out now. So somebody opened the door for them. So we'll have to deal with them. But looking at the comments and everything, and I'm going to be honest, John, USC going forward, especially in this new era, is I mean, they're going to be scary. Look at how scary they were when they invested in their football program way back. I mean, it was not Ohio State, any of that competing.
Especially if we tackle just anyone at all.
And I mean, I'm sad USC's leaving, but I'm telling you, Utah would be sliding down the irrelevant pole with USC climbing the way they're going to climb. And if people can't see that, I mean, you have guys transferring from Georgia that are starting to LA. Once they get that thing rolling, I mean, they're going to take over again like they did in the early 2000s. And so if people aren't intelligent enough to see that and what they did, putting together a ragtag team and going 11-1 is impressive as hell. Let them put 3 of these classes together.
It's going to be wild, isn't it?
It's scary. Darrell's not going to like it.
Yeah, Larry, I have a question for you. So, there's been some rumors I've been hearing, and I don't know how founded they are. You're the Utah expert here, about Whittingham maybe retiring. Do you think that this situation is going to exacerbate that, or do you think he's going to stick around for a few more years? Because I mean, he is kind of running things, like basically running the conference right now, So that's a pretty good position to be in.
Yeah. So Kyle, it's in his contract. Even once he retires, he's the head of football operations, and he's not retiring until there's basically nowhere to climb. He's built this program. He's not going to walk away, from building something until, it's reached its peak. And so he's going to be there, I think, until this gets sorted out.
Right.
And so
and Larry,
yeah.
is there any more intoxicating and addicting drug in the world than the smell of roses for New Year's?
Yeah, it's pretty great. I just wish we could keep a quarterback all the way through the damn game.
I know. Yeah, Penn State's finally getting all these. Penn State's getting all these accolades, and it's like, you just beat like the third stringers. But
yeah, we lost the game, and I mean that's always
Yeah.
been an issue for Utah is depth, and I had some Penn State guys saying that Dalton Kincaid wouldn't have made a difference, and I went okay, and Brant Kufi wouldn't have made.
Let me tell you, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's okay.
That guy's
all right.
pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, I give Penn State credit. They are a damn good team, and
Sure.
it is what it is. But I'm scared what USC is going to be. I'm telling you. So I don't know if I'm not too sad that they're leaving, but I am.
Yeah, well, especially because USC just brought in these transfer portals on defense, and like at the end of the day, Lincoln Riley, if he needs to make a change, he's going to make a change if he needs to.
Right, but
after this year, like if he thinks that Jim Leonard would be a better DC for the Big Ten, he'll make the change and he'll get him.
Yeah, that's what's scary, John, is not just what they're bringing in transferred. Have you seen the class and the guys they're bringing in on defense? They're bringing in some top level stuff, and now you're going to give them Big Ten money?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tony, stay away from Scally, please. I will. You're in Florida. You leave him alone.
We make no promises.
Oh, don't make me do it. I'll come hunt you guys down. So
I bet.
Yeah. But once they get Big Ten money, I mean, they're going to be scary. Michigan's always going to be there. Ohio State, Penn State, I think are going to be there. And I feel really bad for the Minnesotas, the Rutgers, the Marylands. It made it that much harder for those guys to compete.
Well, so there's an interesting debate as we look at the schedule here. A really interesting debate that Greg Sankey brought up. Did you guys watch Greg Sankey today speaking at the University of Arizona's DC campus?
No.
Okay. Fascinating discussions. But one of the things Greg Sankey talked a lot about, and a couple of the other guys as well, is in a discussion led by Heather Dinich, actually, and Bobby Robbins, Arizona president, was the issue that because there are only so many broadcast windows, this idea of like, and we've talked about this on the Voice of College Football channel, but you can't really have just like unlimited conference expansion because you only have so many windows to put the games on. And so, one of the hard things for the Rutgers and the Maryland and those guys is, and I forget who it was, one of them pointed out, they said something like I'm going to make up the numbers. I don't know, 256 major windows, essentially like all but a few of them were either Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State. Yeah. And so, now USC's coming in there and UCLA's, and so you're going to even though the Big Ten has this wonderful, amazing contract, there's going to be a lot of people on BTN.
Yeah.
I'm just happy. I'm really looking forward to, Tony, that I don't have to find some stream out of nowhere to get to a USC, to watch a USC game. Because,
come on. You don't have to route your internet through like Kazakhstan to get the Pac-12 network?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it on the Big Ten network because it's like Pac-12 network is seen in what, like 10 households? So
it's up to 12 now.
Oh.
I think they got 2 more subscribers.
But that's a very respectable schedule. The way the Big Ten put it together, they didn't try to duck out on giving the good matchups, and so you've got to respect that. And I'm not giving Uncle Lou a plug, but he said the same thing as an SEC fan. He doesn't want to play Alabama every 8 years. Like, get them rotating, get the good teams, get the good matchups. And so the Big Ten did a really good job, I think, in giving the country some good matchups and keeping it rotating, and yet still giving teams a chance, to compete. So kudos to the Big Ten for doing that. I just wish the SEC would follow that model.
Yeah. 8 games for the SEC. And so you're going to have your Citadel opponent week 11.
All right. Well, I'll give some other people some time. So appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
Thanks.
you, man. Absolutely.
See you, Larry, and go Utes.
Go Utes. There you go. So let's take, I believe Whisk Cheese was next. Hi, Whisk Cheese.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. Are you? I haven't seen you before. Have you called before? Or are you first time caller?
This is my first time. Yeah, I just saw
first time caller, folks.
Yeah.
we always make a big deal out of that because we love people calling the show for the first time. But so are you a Wisconsin fan? I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah, I am. And I just got a few words for Iowa. I mean, this is a do or die season for you right now. If they don't get to the title this year, they're screwed, and they'll never get there ever again.
I'm not going to go that far, but I'm going to say it's going to take them 2 years.
Because looking at their schedule, although I hate them, their schedule is so easy, especially with all the Cade McNamara and all the players they got. The guy from Ohio State, they got him too, the 4-star, Khalid Brown. They got that guy, and they got Eric Gall. I mean, if you guys can't put it together, I don't know what's going to happen to you guys. This is a do or die season.
Yep. So here's the protected games. So in terms of the protected games, you've got, as expected, Ohio State versus Michigan, USC versus UCLA, Indiana versus Purdue, interesting, Minnesota versus Wisconsin. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm a tiny bit surprised about Michigan versus Michigan State. I know how big the rivalry is. However, with what happened with Tunnelgate, there were some talks that they would get dropped. And I'm not just saying from one source. So it's interesting that they kept that. Iowa versus Minnesota makes perfect sense. Illinois, Nebraska. So I think at the bottom line here, you just go down the list, is that, it's a less is more mentality. You don't see everybody with like a bazillion, because there was at one point, everybody was going to have like 3 protected rivalries, and some of them just were like so random.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of glad that they kept it less is more. But then you have, so just here's 2024, right? USC is playing pretty not easy schedule here with at Penn State, at UCLA is from time to time a really amazing team and sometimes not so much, but I think they'll be pretty good. Mm-hmm. They're versus Michigan, they're versus Iowa and Wisconsin. I mean, this is tough. USC is going to have a tough schedule, and LSU, as LBC mentioned. So that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, look at our schedule. It looks pretty tough too. I don't know. I mean, every year is different. I mean, the recruiting and all that. Hopefully we do good in the recruiting next year. I mean, we got a new coach, and we got Mordecai. Mordecai's pretty good, but I don't see us making like a big ass leap in the first year. Just making progress, and hopefully do better. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have.
Well, one quick question about Mordecai. Do you think that Mordecai is going to take the step up? Because I was talking on Ballard Sports Media last night, and our buddy D4 Sports actually came in, and he's an actual real life defensive coordinator. And he basically was saying, the air raid at like any new system is going to take real game time. So he kind of basically pushed back on the idea that Mordecai is going to be a bust, even though he threw picks and was an equal opportunity thrower in the spring game. He threw to the offense and the defense. But yeah, so I think it's going to take you a little bit, though. I don't think you're really going to be full on till 2024.
Yeah.
But you do have an amazing running back. I will say that.
Yeah, that too. I mean, Mordecai. I mean, I saw the spring game too, and I just said no way. But I mean, hey, it's still a whole off season. Hopefully, he can get adjusted, as we said, and at least, hey, since with the new coach, we can track some more good recruiting and good quarterbacks coming over here, and that can fit our offense. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, thanks.
Next up, friend of the show, DeReal MVP.
You want me to put up the schedule?
Yeah. Well, I've got. I
have the graphic of it.
Let's do it. I'll stop screen.
I have the actual graphic. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, DeReal.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Good. How you feeling about the Big Ten no longer being lopsided and the West being McDonald's Playhouse and the East being what the East is?
Well, I mean, it's finally time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's long overdue for college football fans in general, but I think there's an angle that hasn't been really discussed. I know Larry thinks USC's going 100-0. They're going to win every national championship from 2024 until 2030, from what it was implied in his call. But with USC's schedule, let's say they go 8-4, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They lose to LSU, Notre Dame, Penn State, and Michigan. Okay,
UCLA is going to go, USC is going to go 8-4.
Let's say hypothetically they go 8-4. They're not going to have Caleb Williams there, right? So it's possible. Let's just say even though it's like 5%. Let's say it happens. Okay.
Because
I'm not classing USC here. That's not where I'm going with this at all. If they go 8-4 with losing to those 4 teams, and those 4 teams playing as well as we all think they could be playing in 2024, USC should still make the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, you can hypothetically make a 12-team with 8 wins.
Yeah, and I think what the SEC doing with their 8-game schedule is we're going to look at a USC. If they go 8-4 and don't make the playoff, then why should we go to non-conference games? Because what you're telling us is you can have one of the hardest schedules in the country, and you will not be rewarded for it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I just don't like that. I mean, I get it; it's legal, but like having some of the best teams, like I'll admit, Georgia, Alabama, they're some of the best teams in the country, and then you play the Citadel week 11. I know it's legal, but it just isn't, in my view, not the best look.
Oh, listen. The problem is there has to be an incentive structure for the SEC to change. And if you want the SEC to change, reward strength of record, reward strength of schedule.
Yeah.
If USC is not rewarded by playing LSU and Notre Dame in non-conference schedule, especially if they're competitive in both their games, then there's no reason anybody should schedule hard non-conference opponents.
Yeah. I just don't like it, but I agree with you.
Right. Because everybody thinks that there should be a magical number. Well, you get to 10, you're automatically in. Well, what if you're 10 like Iowa and you play hardly nobody this year and you get completely blown out in 2 games? Are you really that good? I think strength of schedule and strength of record needs to be heavily factored in going forward in a 12-team playoff. And I think USC's schedule will determine not only the future of them, but the future of college sports in general. No pressure to USC.
Oh, man. Yeah, no pressure to USC. I mean, listen, the thing is, I think that this is the Flex Protect Plus model is a good one. And, Mark is somebody who was first on predicting it,
You're absolutely right with it's better for the fans, it's better for the teams, it's better for the television. You are 100% right, and I am right there with you. But are you going to get into the 12-team playoff? Because let's be honest, that's all anybody really cares about.
Yep, playoff.
And if you're telling us that USC can go 8-4, they could have 4 losses against arguably all of them being top 5, top 8 teams, and they're not going to get in, then there's no reason anybody should play difficult non-conference games like in LSU.
Yeah, but like you conceded in the beginning, there was a 5% chance of that. So
USC is going to be great.
We're
USC,
playing
I
an
think, is gonna be
academic
great.
exercise right now.
But my point is, why put yourself to where that could even happen in the first place? If 9 wins is the quote unquote number to automatically get in, or people think, hey, you're in the Big Ten, you won 9 games, you're checked in. It's just a presumption. Then why not play a Citadel? Why not play a South Dakota State?
Right.
It's a lot easier than having to go to play LSU and Notre Dame in the same season.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to literally, the commissioner of college football in the future, Mark Rogers or whoever it winds up being, is going to have to, have some regulations across the conferences.
You're absolutely right. But when I saw USC's schedule like that, I thought this is going to be a test for what we and the SEC do and what everybody else should do going forward.
Well, and Tony's about to take over as host because I'm I have an appointment here in a little bit. But one of the cool things when they're doing the Pac-12 chat show live is the 12-team playoff simulation where they asked the Patreon community, and what was notable about that is you had plenty of Big Ten, you had plenty of SEC. You had a decent mix of some of the different. Now maybe this will change that a little bit, but I think Andrew is exactly right. Big Ten's not going to get shut out of the playoff unless something absolutely.
Oh, I'm not talking about the Big Ten getting shut out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I was just answering that. Yeah,
that's not going to happen. My question is, if you're a fringe team like a Penn State, like a Tennessee, and or Notre Dame. You go out and schedule a difficult non-conference schedule, and you don't get rewarded for it, then what's the point of playing ridiculously hard non-conference schedules?
I understand. Cole, thank you for your $1.99 super chat. We're going to read and honor every super chat, but we are not going to be able to get to most of the comments. So if you want your comment read on screen, send us a super chat. Cole, Nebraska 2025 schedule can't be legal. Yeah. Well,
they just got to go on the road to play Ohio State and USC, and then they get home games against Michigan and UCLA.
Well, one thing that LBC and I agreed on is that it seems like you get one easier year and one tougher year, and I don't hate that because it gives everybody a chance to potentially get to the 12-team playoff and win a title, and then some years you're going to have a tougher gauntlet, and some years you're going to have a lot of the Northwesterns of the world. So I think, but you still are going to, even Nebraska in 2024, it's an easier schedule. They're still going to have to face Penn State. They're still going to have to face Iowa. They're never easy.
Right. There's not going to be a quote unquote easy schedule with this type of format.
Yeah. Easier and harder. That's how I'm saying it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But there is no easy or hard. It's all hard.
Right.
But I think it's very fascinating to see if it's going to work, because I think there's going to be a lot of fans going. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement, but it all comes down to strength of record and strength of schedule, how much it's valued over just the wins and losses.
Absolutely. So yeah, just a reminder, if you want your comment or question read on air, we are asking you to send in a super chat, especially today. Things are going just way too fast. But what I am going to do is put at the bottom here. Actually, I won't do that because I'm leaving in a second. But yeah, so Cole, $1.99, and Guy Smithson so far. Keep sending in the super chats. Tony Altimore is going to be taking over as host here any second, so that I can go, and I'm going to be going to an appointment, so I got to head out in a minute. Is it okay? Let's bring in Jackson's been waiting a while. Let's Darrell, we're going to add to the SEC contingent, and we're going to bring in Jackson Johnson. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Johnny. What's up? What's up, Darrell?
Hello, Jackson. What did you think about my theory that USC, if they go 8-4, should still be in the college football playoff potentially?
Well, if you have a tough schedule, I think you should be rewarded for it. I kind of like that, but I don't think USC will go 8-4 in 2024.
That's not the point I'm making. I've already conceded that they're probably not going. I think they'll probably go 10-2 personal. But right. I'm just saying, if they do go 8-4, I think almost nobody's going to say they should be in the college football playoff because they lost, what would that be, a quarter of their schedule?
Well, let's see. They pretty much have 11 Power 5 opponents, so that's pretty good.
Right. And they're non-conference is what, I mean, they got to play Notre Dame and LSU.
Right.
I mean, it's possible those are going to be two of the better non-con teams in all of college football. Those could be 2 top 5 teams.
Right.
So they should be rewarded.
LSU and who else?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yep. They'll be up there. I don't know if Notre Dame's going to be top 5, but
They could be.
yeah.
But they should be rewarded.
Eh.
And if if they get to 8 wins and they're not rewarded, I think that's going to have ripple effects on the sport. Because I think that could be looked at by the Greg Sankey and say, hey, we're going to stick to 8 conference games because you all are rewarding strength of schedule.
Well, if USC, which I don't think they'd make it to the playoffs if they go 8-4, but if they go 8-4 with a really tough schedule 2024, and they just so happen to make it to the playoffs, it will show people schedule tougher non-conference games, and you're good to go.
Well, Jackson, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't want every team to be playing the Citadel,
right?
San Jose State,
Georgia Southern,
Southern. But guess what?
The
if you're not
elite
going to
of
reward
college
them,
football.
I know Mike Fort's in the chat saying an 8-4 team makes the playoffs. The system needs to be scrapped. Well, if you lose to 4 top 8 teams in the country, you still could be one of the 12 best teams in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, why not make like a game against the Citadel a spring game?
I think there should be one like that, but I don't think there should be multiple G5 FCS type teams you play every single year.
I don't actually hate that idea of playing the Citadel for a spring game, but somebody's going to tell me I bet somebody's going to tell me that regulations and whatever won't ever allow that. But just in general theory, I love that idea because then everybody can play 9 conference games, but you can still get your live fire against your cream puffs in the spring game. I don't hate it.
There you go. Well, a few things I want to go over for the future schedules of the
before you do that, so Tony is actually going to be taking over as host here right now because I've got to leave. So everybody, Tony Altimore is in the house, taking over. Alrighty. I'm going to go. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. Keep it here, Voice of College Football, as we live react to the Big Ten new schedule announcements. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Hey, Tony. So, what's your take on Michigan USC in 2024? That's going to be an awesome game. Like, wow. Uh-oh.
Tony, I think you're muted.
Uh-oh.
Thanks, Surreal. Sorry.
No problem.
Sorry, I'm just stepping in real quick. No, I can't wait to be there. It's going to be an incredible game. It's going to be a lot of fun. USC has always played a lot of teams historically. In fact, I mean, when my dad played for Michigan State, they played at USC and at UCLA. So, having those games is going to be really, really cool. And it's going to be a neat energy. All the Big Ten fans are going to come. I've actually been to the Rose Bowl. What have I been? 3 or 4 USC Michigan Rose Bowls. So, Michigan always turns out and they'll fill the Coliseum. I'll tell you that Ohio State UCLA game in the Rose Bowl is going to be a lot of fun. There are going to be a lot of great games. And I can't wait for USC at Maryland in DC.
Oh man. Like who would have thought
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying that, if you had said to somebody in 2010 that USC Maryland would be a Big Ten conference game, we probably would have been laughed out of the room for suggesting that.
Well, so I was when USC played at Virginia. I was there, and it was so USC, when USC travels, and to Big Ten fans, you guys can get used to this. They set up, I mean, technically every school does this, but USC does it more than other schools. They set up like a base camp in whatever the biggest nearby city is. And of course, that's where they have the huge pep rally and all the alumni parties and all that kind of stuff. And then they, bus or train to the game. Notre Dame, they train, sometimes they bus. But when they played at Virginia, they set up the base camp in DC. So it was all the games and stuff in DC, all that. When we played at Syracuse, we played them in the Meadowlands, and so they did it in New York. So I mean, the USC band took over Times Square for a huge pep rally. So they'll do that. I can't wait for the USC at Rutgers game, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh man, it must have been fun getting to see USC Virginia at Virginia in, I believe it was 2008.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember USC played Virginia, Ohio State. Ohio State was the second Saturday of September, and Notre Dame was rivalry week, and then you guys played UCLA championship week.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. So that game was actually the reopening of Scott Stadium after the renovations. So it was, and it's a beautiful facility they've got at UVA. If you guys haven't been to the UVA campus, it is. I mean, it's designed by Thomas Jefferson. Of course, it's stunning, but it is just another level of beautiful at Virginia.
Oh, man.
It's a really, really cool place.
Oh man. So I'm seeing on the annual opponents list for the Big Ten, right? Now USC is obviously keeping UCLA, but the two play opponents, Penn State, Wisconsin, they're the 2024-2025 teams that they're going to play for the next 2 years at the very least. I see that Ohio State's, of course, playing Michigan annually. I suppose they should. They got Illinois and Northwestern for the next 2 years. Iowa, now that's been something I was wondering about. I was like, please tell me Iowa's going to keep all three of their rivals.
Well, and if you notice this, Iowa is the one that does keep all three rivals.
Yep.
And those are actually protected. Those are protected opponents that they will continue, which I think is really cool.
That's so amazing. And Penn State's the only one that doesn't have a protected rival. And, I talked with the Locked On Buckeyes host on Twitter, and he talked about how surprised he was Ohio State, Penn State wasn't annual. And to tell you the truth, I was pretty surprised about it not being an annual matchup.
I think though we overweight that game because it always means so much. But it means so much. Oh, we lost Jackson. Maybe he'll rejoin us. And we'll go to somebody else. Let's just quick finish that thought. I think one of the reasons that we value Ohio State, Penn State so much is not out of tradition or history or anything like that, but just because it's two great teams that play each other. And so, is that Jackson coming? Okay, I think he's gone. All right, anyway, let's move on. We've got I don't know who's next. I think Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports. Jeffrey, welcome to the Big Ten release. What do you think about the game and your Indiana Hoosiers?
I mean, the Big Ten, they finally made a right move. I'm very glad that they did most of what they did here. I think overall, looking at, they had to do it with the USC, UCLA additions. They had to change the scheduling. It wasn't going to work out the way it was before. And obviously the Big Ten East and the West, it was just crazy. This is good. I mean, overall on paper, it's much more equal. It's going to give more teams a chance to have success. So I think that, on paper, it is about as good of a possible move as you could get. I do think, though, interesting, when you were talking about protected rivalries, I'm kind of shocked Indiana Michigan State was not protected. I know that that's not an in-state game, but it is a trophy game. That is a trophy game with old brass spittoons. So I don't really know why they didn't keep that as a protected rivalry. I thought Indiana, Purdue, Indiana, Michigan State would be. Do you feel like they should have had that as a protected rivalry or not annually? Or not?
I wasn't in the room obviously, but I would think they're trying to. They do one of the things that I think that they want to try to do is get everybody playing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that my impression was that they wanted to minimize the protected rivalries while also making sure that they did protect them where they needed to be. I mean, this is not an easy schedule to produce. I mean, the machinations in this is way, I promise, is way harder than it looks. And so for them to come up with this and make it work, I think is a really, really impressive thing that they were able to put together, while making sure again that everybody is really, really protected on the people that matter to them as sort of core to their DNA. Now, Michigan State, Indiana basketball, that would have to be protected.
I mean, that makes sense for sure. I mean, like you said, it's more of, the impact of the game, or like how much history that there is. I guess kind of to your point, that's why more people hyped up Ohio State, Penn State, because of the fact that it's in a game that matters most years. But I just felt that being a trophy game that they would keep it. But it's not that big a deal, overall, because just the way
and the other thing, by the way, is, I mean, that we've gotten a 2-year schedule. So, and you notice Indiana does play Michigan State both those years. So effectively it is, and there's nothing to say that they could go through this and not, like, in 2 years and say, we're just going to leave Indiana there. They could certainly do that.
That makes sense. They probably will.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I think is neat about the way the Big Ten has done this, is they've sort of laid out to say, okay, here's a framework, here's a model, here's what we're doing, but you can make some changes as you need to in the next coming years. I know one of the things that matters for a lot of these folks is they want to have games in LA for their alumni, for their fundraising, for their engagement, like as a fun trip. So I think it's going to be important for them to get all these teams out to LA, ideally once a year. I mean, that's just going to be so fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially for the better teams like Ohio State, Michigan, where it will be a fantastic game. I mean, Indiana, I mean, they're gonna probably enjoy going out there to USC and UCLA, but more than likely won't have a good chance to win. But I guess just the journey and being there is cool enough.
Hey, one thing I learned as a Big Ten kid growing up in Big Ten country is anything can happen.
For sure,
especially if it's at Iowa at night.
Oh yeah, Kinnick Stadium is unreal. For sure. I think that overall, though, I'm glad that they did what they did. But the non-conference games, I know that we've talked about the non-conference games, the 8 conference games, to a fault, just over and over and over. But it's like, if you got to have it where the Big Ten has 9, all of them have to have 9. And I kind of heard you One Scoop John talking to, DeReal about it earlier, about how you have, the strength of schedule, needs to matter more for the SEC to make the move. And I get that, because, I mean, the SEC, they want to get teams in bowl games. And when you have the 4 non-conference games, it makes it easier to get to a bowl game, because you can
it's pretty hard to not get to a bowl game, let's be honest.
All you got to do is just beat 3 easy opponents, usually have one decently hard game, whatever, and then you make a bowl game. It's very easy. In the Big Ten,
some of them do.
If you're not a very good team like Rutgers or Indiana or Northwestern, it's extremely difficult to do so in some years, because you have non-conference games. Most of the teams are tough, and then you have maybe one hard non-conference game, so that's 10 tough games. Makes it a lot harder. I just wish all of the conferences would go to 9 games to make it, I guess, more balanced, more equal, make it say that you're more legitimately making a bowl game. But obviously it's hard to do that, like you said, when the strength of schedule doesn't really matter as much. It matters, but like if you're going to be ranked in the top 25 or something, you're usually a brand team. If you're like 7-4, it's because you've played tough opponents. They'll rank you, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really help you in any regard. It's still, if you're going 7-4 and you play an easy schedule and then you're 7-4 playing a tough schedule, it doesn't really make a difference. Like in basketball, that helps with seeding. You could have a bad record and be a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament because you played an extremely difficult schedule and you did good enough. In football, the strength of schedule just doesn't matter enough. That's why the SEC won't go to 9 games. We all definitely know that. But there's got to be a way to make it where all of them will be equal, where it will happen.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. It's just crazy.
Sure.
I don't know how they would do that, but I mean, it is what it is. Not like the biggest deal breaker. I mean, college football is still a lot of fun. That's why we're all here. That's why we're all talking about it still after all the changes. But I just think that would make it even better. I mean, all these moves, I mean, it's been crazy having USC, UCLA, and they're going to be going to the Big Ten, Texas, Oklahoma, to the SEC. And then you've got all the, fallout from that. You have BYU and all these teams going all over the place. But I think the biggest thing that's made it so much different is just the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC are the top two by far now, where it was, slightly better before, or, even at times the Pac-12 in its history was better than those conferences. Now it's just the Big Ten. I mean, they're taking your Trojans and the Bruins, and then you're taking the Longhorns and the Sooners to the SEC, and it's just making it dominant.
By the way,
these teams are dominant here on the screen.
By the way, Jeffrey, how good does this just look with SC and UCLA here in the schedule? I'm just grinning from it. I'm excited for it.
I'm sure definitely a lot of people are. I mean, I know that Ohio State fans and Michigan fans probably aren't happy about it, especially with USC, because, it's more high-level competition. I mean, they probably like it, but then they don't like it either. It's kind of like a mix. Like, well, we get to have more high-profile games, and we have a chance to beat USC, but then it's like now we have to play them all the time instead of having to play Penn State, which everybody just acts like is the elite team that we can beat because they're just not on our level all the way. So it's like, and it's like, what is USC? If they get a defense, we might have a problem. It could be a really good game.
Fingers crossed on that. We got to tackle somebody.
But yeah, like you said, USC, UCLA, it's crazy. Like Jackson said, I would have never thought it when I was a little kid, because I was all about the geography. It's like it all makes sense. All the teams are where they are, and now it's like you've got LA going to New Jersey, and it's a conference game. The geography's shot. It's not happening anymore. So it's so crazy how. I know for you watching football probably 30 years ago, how much different it is then to now. It's like even for me watching football when I was 6, 7 years old, there were no opt-outs. There was no transfer portal that was really important. All this stuff's just so new, and it's made the sport so much different. But, it makes for a lot more coverage and a lot more stuff to talk about, for sure.
No, it really does. And you got a lot of great games. UCLA has Rutgers both years, which will be kind of cool. So, they'll go to LA, and UCLA will have a blast in New York. All right, Jeffrey, what anything else? We got some folks waiting.
I really appreciate coming on. I haven't been on in a while, trying to think, but just trying to soak all this in.
Missed you.
It's just definitely, I really appreciate it. It's been a nice talking to you, man. And just like I said, looking at the schedule, there's just a lot of cool games, like you said, a lot of new opportunities, new games we're going to be seeing. I can't wait for 2024. That's all I can say. It's going to be very interesting. But, try to take 2023 all into, and it'll be the last for a lot of big games and big, these conferences. Try to one last ride, and then we'll be going to a whole different college football world in 2024. Definitely be looking forward to. Can't wait to call back in soon and talk about some of these upcoming games this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Only like 80 days away. It's crazy. Time flies.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks for calling in.
Really appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon.
Man.
All right. Next up, I think John was next. John, welcome to the Voice of College Football channel. I am just temporarily here as the fill-in for Mark. How's it going?
Good, pretty good. I'm a Nebraska guy, obviously.
Nice. You guys got a good schedule coming up.
I'll make 2 points that haven't been made yet.
Awesome.
Given all this stuff that is come for Nebraska, Matt Rule better get really good really fast. Because in Nebraska in 2025 gets Michigan, Ohio State, USC, and UCLA. I think that's pretty obvious. You guys injured me while I was waiting by saying it's pretty easy to make a bowl game. And I was weeping before I came on here because,
I'm sorry.
wow.
It was not targeted at our Cornhusker friends.
You should. You just take the shots, man. We deserve it.
Well, hey, so there have been some laughs among USC folks about Nebraska in the last couple of days because USC, I don't know if you heard, just announced, I think, what is it, 2027 or something, the probable Clay Helton Bowl, as Georgia Southern comes back to the Coliseum, and it's a little scarier than it should be from bad memories.
Yeah, the other thing is nobody has pointed out is that it's pretty clear that Iowa is the most hated team in this conference because they got 3 protected rivalries.
Well, hey,
and I think that it's very well deserved.
It is. It's learned. Where is Erica in the chat tonight? I don't know if I've seen Erica in the chat tonight. Erica, our favorite Iowa Hawkeye. Yeah, no, they got 3.
You're a USC guy, right?
I am. Yeah.
Okay,
But
well,
I grew
here's
up
a
in
tip.
Michigan.
Here's a pro tip. Oh, you grew up in Michigan, so you know that you don't have to wait to join the Big Ten to hate Iowa ahead of time.
Well, I also know that it doesn't matter how good you are or how bad they are. If you go into Kinnick Stadium on a Saturday night, anything can happen.
That's
That
true.
that
So-
that I have learned from a lifetime of watching Spartans and Wolverines.
What's been the overall reaction from everybody here? I think you just showed up though when Mark left and I saw this stuff, and I've been reading some of the chat. I think the Big Ten, the idea that the divisions are going away is, I think, best, because for a long time the Big Ten East had, there was a lot of imbalance. Nebraska certainly isn't the team that everybody expected them to be coming into the Big Ten Conference 10 years ago or whatever, and to get rid of the Big Ten West, I think gets rid of, quite frankly, an embarrassment side of the conference, where every Big Ten championship game, you kind of looked at it and you went, well, the East is going to beat the hell out of them. And there you go.
It's I know it seems like that. I'll tell you my personal take on it, which is probably an unpopular take, and I'll get roasted in the chat for this, is that a lot of times this stuff is cyclical. Right. And I don't think cyclical like 1 year, but like cyclical in 5 or 10 years. And so you end up with a choice of, do you go with division, like when they had the leaders and legends and they actually tried to balance it all, and all they did was take flack for it. And it only just created hassle. So then you said, okay, well, we're just going to do it geographically. And whenever a conference does it geographically, anytime you end up with some element of, rolling the dice on, are the conferences well balanced or not? And in the Big Ten, you just have that giant weight around the East, because you've got Ohio State, you've got Michigan, you've got Penn State, and they've all been good for the better part of 20 years. Now, if you go back to the 90s, that wasn't always the case. But I guess it kind of was. Like, I don't know when you'd have to go back. If you go back to the 40s, no, I'm just kidding. But there is an element of cyclicality, because Iowa's not been as strong as they traditionally were. I mean, they're good, but not as strong. Nebraska has had a few years of struggles, as we all do from time to time. Wisconsin's been like kind of okay, and Minnesota has been okay. So you've got a lot of okay, and it's just sort of cyclical, is my thought.
I got another question.
Also, by the way, my other thought on Nebraska is, don't ever count Nebraska as being down for too long or totally out until that game's over. I've seen too many Nebraska games.
I hope that's the case coming up under Matt Rule. The 2-year rotation things leaves the Big Ten with an 8-game schedule, an 8-game conference schedule, or 9-game conference schedule. I'm sorry. The SEC has 8 games. Is the SEC smarter than the Big Ten? I mean, they keep winning championships.
So
Big Ten keeps playing better games.
There's part of the debate. I would also argue that the Big Ten sort of has blown some championship opportunities. True. I mean, the soundtrack of that Michigan TCU game should have the chicken dance on it. With all the stuff that kind of went wrong. So I just, you kind of say, okay, well. Also, by the way, the SEC glory is probably a little cyclical. So cyclicality matters. I think that having the 9 games is important, particularly given, the SEC's propensity for scheduling orphanages and convents. If they were going out and being like, hey, we're going to play 8 games, but we want to play 1 ACC game and 1 Pac-12 game, or 1 ACC game and 1 Big Ten. We want to do an SEC Big Ten thing. Like, okay, that would be pretty cool. When they're like, well, we want to play the Austin P freshman team this time in November. Then you're kind of like, all right, guys, let's not do this. But at the same time, Greg Sankey talked about this a little bit today. The other thing is, Paul Feinbaum talked today at this fascinating conference the University of Arizona hosted today, actually in DC at their DC office. But one of the things Paul Feinbaum talked about is the importance of remembering the role that fans play. and the fans played, and the fans of the institution play, and we need to make sure that we're factoring in what is important for them. And I'll tell you, from the TV data I've analyzed and everything else, I just always find that people want to watch good games. I mean, actually, if you actually look at the data, and there's a little chicken or the egg there, right? Because their bad games don't get put on. Good G5 versus G5 games draw way more viewers than a Power 5 and a Cupcake. So, like, nobody wants to watch Michigan play Central Connecticut State or, whoever. Nobody wants, and I'll be honest, nobody wants to watch USC Rice. So, yeah, right. You have one of those games at the beginning of the year, and, sometimes you play Georgia Southern and it turns into a personal nightmare. But people don't generally people would rather see, Nebraska versus Wake Forest than Nebraska versus Georgia Southern.
Well, I know 2024 Nebraska's big game, out of conference game, is Colorado, which we hate Colorado.
That's a great game.
You hope it's a good. A great game could mean Nebraska wins 72-3. You know what I mean? For Nebraska fans over Colorado,
that would be fine. For Nebraska fans against Colorado, there is no such thing as enough points.
But let's see, 2025 Nebraska's big game is Cincinnati. I would guess that in the future, a lot of the Big Ten teams aren't really going to schedule anybody that's heavy for their non-conference games. So we're seeing, don't you think we're going to see less outside the conference overall?
Well, one of the things about the Big Ten in some regards is you could argue that the addition of USC and UCLA is effectively, for a lot of these teams, like if they played a non-con, like if you think back to history, think back to the 80s when this was way more normal. Like it's almost like they're playing 8 conference games and then one against one of the Pac schools.
Oh, that's true.
So it kind of, because they've sort of loaded up the conference. And the same thing, by the way, this is part of why I think the SEC needs to move it up, because the SEC is added these new teams. And in adding those new teams, like, nobody wants to wait 24 years to see Texas A&M play Georgia.
Or Texas A&M play Texas.
Yeah, we've all waited long enough for that one.
Just watch
That's
for the
gonna
riots.
Be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? I think they got rid of the they got rid of the bonfire though, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. But taking a look at, looking at your Cornhuskers, and by the way, I think Matt Rule is a great hire. I'm watching what he's doing in recruiting. I'm watching what he's doing in the transfer portal. I hope it works, because football, and I used to shake my fist at Tom Osborne, on the screen, but football is better when Nebraska is Nebraska.
There you go.
And the band starts up and they're like, there's no playing Nebraska. And you're like, the sport is better like that. And so I'm excited to have Nebraska back. I'll tell you though, watching Nebraska and, poor Scott Frost, the poor fans, you guys, even when you were losing all those games, they were all still close.
Yeah.
So they were always good games.
They were, and that was kind of part of the honestly.
I know.
I'm you're just very blunt about it. The whole con job that was that guy we fired. I usually refuse to say his name anymore, just because I've tried to exercise him from my soul.
Yeah, you have to.
And I know you said Matt Rule. I know you said Matt Rule looks like a good hire. Well, I'm not ready to love again. Okay.
Okay, I get it.
Maybe by August fall camp rolls around, I'll be ready to love again and be ready to look forward to Nebraska's 2023 season. But I am looking forward to it, but I'm not with real high expectations.
And real quick, just to answer this, their viewings do drop when they schedule Patsies. Like their viewings drop a lot. Nobody likes to watch Alabama play Austin Peay. You guys would be amazed. I have the TV there. I was just talking to Mark. So we were actually going to I think we're going to do something later this year. So I took years and years of TV data and just like over a couple of months, just like manually with like, because you have to manually input it in. So I could code it together with other data. And we now have a statistical model that claims that, or the statistics say it's 87% predictability, that we can, with just 3 inputs, predict sort of TV viewership of these games. So we can go through and predict kind of what this like Nebraska UCLA game may bring for viewers, like and look at that kind of stuff, which will be kind of fun.
You'll be worth millions.
ESPN has a far better model than what I have in Excel. I can promise you ESPN has much more sophisticated,
that's probably true. Yeah.
Better modeling than what I have in Excel, but we'll take it.
So did you look at like which are the word? Do you think that's what they use to put all this stuff together?
I mean, the TV people have phenomenal other data. And the other thing is TV people data matters a lot about who is watching, right? The demographics matter. Like I'll tell you actually, and this is kind of a side thing. One of the things that's like one of the most attractive, the most attractive streaming audience, I'm told, believe it or not, is the ESPN Ivy League deal. And the reason for that is that not a lot of people watch Harvard versus Princeton lacrosse.
Right.
But the people that do are very, very, very attractive advertising targets, right? To like JP Morgan Private Wealth or Rolex or, whoever.
Right.
They're not, it's not for, drink Bud Light. Like it's, are your children ready for their trust fund? You should, that's who's watching Princeton versus Harvard lacrosse. So it's actually for ESPN. And I mean, I don't have their financials, but the ESPN people have always told me that that's like just a phenomenally profitable deal that they have. So
well, it makes sense as the click rate audience. Or they click per ad. What do they call that?
More important. Yeah, exactly. And it's, but you get that with, a lot of the Big Ten teams too. Cause I mean, these are great schools and they have great audiences and all that kind of stuff, which is why the wide appeal of the Big Ten, the national appeal of the Big Ten, is why the Big Ten has this phenomenal new TV contract that has, 3 straight games of massive national importance directly. I mean, that's unreal.
So where do you live now?
I live in New York and Florida.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I think Nebraska fans are excited about is that we have, if you look at alumni groups all over the world, I think Nebraska probably has, more alumni groups all over the world that identify as Nebraskans than anybody else. And the reason for that is, number one, we're incredibly loyal fans. And number two, everybody left Nebraska. Everybody just, graduated, left. There you go. All my friends, they live pretty much everywhere else but Nebraska. But a lot of those people are very excited because we do have huge alumni groups in Los Angeles.
Oh, huge Nebraska. So I remember, I think I was like, I don't know, freshman in college or something, the year you guys played in the Rose Bowl.
2001.
Okay, yeah, or I guess later than that. But yeah, exactly. But you guys, it was amazing because the Nebraska fans were everywhere in LA. And so it'll be fun. Maybe UCLA will take the tarps off.
What is this thing with the tarps? Oh, the tarps over that cover the part of the stadium for
tarps that cover 30,000 seats of the Rose Bowl. Yeah. Maybe they can take them off and let some Cornhuskers sit there. So we like to tease UCLA because while they were just lampooning and sobbing about their holes in their budget, they left 30,000 or whatever seats covered that USC fans couldn't sit in. And we were like, well, if you needed the money, I know where you could get some.
You'd think they would just
sell those seats to people in red shirts.
You'd think, they would do that. If you look at what happened, if you would look at what happened with Nebraska, will play Colorado this fall. And Colorado upped their ticket prices. I don't know, like $8,000 a ticket. It wasn't that much, but you get the idea.
Sure. Yeah,
Nebraska Yeah, but they just bought all the tickets, and we pretty much are paying Deion Sanders' salary for
I
2023.
mean, you guys also, I think you're going to cream them.
Well, I hope so. Like I said, I'm not. I'm gun shy, man. I'm not ready to love again.
Believe me, as a USC alum, I know how that feels. We were like, we think Lincoln Riley's going to do well, right? I mean, if you watch our USC post games, we'd be like, whew, another one. And all of a sudden, finally, we're like, wait a minute, we might make the playoffs. It's like, wait, where did that come from? Too
all
funny.
right,
Hey,
I need to get going.
You. Coordination, we appreciate it.
Yep, I'm
we'll
sure
see you soon, John.
We'll talk to you again. Thank you.
All
Take
right,
care, you guys. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. All right, thanks, John. We've got Defiant from Indiana. How are you doing? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, is our Defiant Hoosier fan there? He may be missing. All right. Well, we'll wait for him to come back again.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, how you doing? Oh, can you mute your YouTube tab?
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
About that. Doing something. Sorry about that.
What's going on? What do you think about Indiana's big upcoming schedule?
I think it's interesting. I do like that Purdue, we play them every year. I do like that. Maryland, though. Maryland's an interesting one,
That's have you been to a game there?
I have not been to a game there, but I know they're winning now, so I know there's a lot of fans showing up to those games and everything like that.
Yeah, and well, the other thing is Maryland. Some people don't realize the University of Maryland is essentially in DC. Like it's right across the line. It's on the DC Metro. It's on the Green Line. So it's a really, really fun place to go and go to see a game. If you're a Big Ten fan and you're playing at Maryland, go. When USC played its games in DC, it's one of my favorite road trips I've ever been on for our away games. So this show somehow popped up on my TV. That's kind of funny. YouTube autoplay. I just looked on the TV and I was like, wait, that's us.
Yeah.
Turn that off. It's a really, really fun game to go to. So I think you'd have a good time.
Definitely.
What
Again,
do you think about Michigan State as keeping that sort of rivalry going?
I like it. It's our second oldest rivalry we've played since 1922. I do like that a lot. I do like keeping that rivalry. I think it's a fun one. It's kind of underrated, I would say, too, especially since Michigan State's kind of, dominated us in that series. Well, Purdue's dominated us, too, for the bucket and everything. But I think having those two is kind of nice. I think it's kind of nice. But I do like Illinois' schedule, too. I like how Illinois got the Buck back again.
Yes.
I do like that one. That's my second favorite rivalry, all the Big Ten, even though Ohio State's probably going to dominate Illinois the next 2 years when we play each other. But hey, it's fun to have that rivalry back. I did like that before, Nebraska joined and Rutgers and Maryland joined. But I do like that.
Yeah,
Illinois schedule runs out.
Well, and I'll tell you, I'm excited to go to the Rutgers campus in all the. I mean, I don't know when I first moved to New York, but I've actually never been to a game on campus. I've been to games at the Meadowlands or MetLife. I always still in my mind think of it as Meadowlands. But I haven't been. I will tell you one really funny thing. This is just a random side laugh for those of you guys watching. LA people are not good at mass transit. They just aren't. They're not a mass transit people. And so they all filed into Penn Station, like trying to figure. We were playing Syracuse at MetLife Stadium. They're trying to figure out how to get to the game. And he just sort of followed everybody. And then the game had a 3-hour tornado warning delay.
Oh, wow.
Where everyone had to go into the concourses and just wait for 2.5 or 3 hours before the game started up again. And the USC, they just got wasted. Blitz. And finally people gave up and they were trying to go home and they could not figure out how to get to the train station. And finally this guy grabs me and he goes, "What's a Secaucus?" like it's like Snuffleupagus or something. Anyway, It was really funny. And so most of the USC people just ended up taking an Uber back anyway.
But definitely, it will be interesting though when Rutgers goes out to California. That being more car centric area. It'll be interesting for them. Trying to get around LA because they're used to the metros and the trains and everything, and then they gotta walk and drive everywhere now.
Well, although you can get to the Coliseum on the train, so that's good.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how good public transportation LA has. I know it's all the city of angels, traffic everywhere. You know that.
What is this? Oh, sorry, I was getting a message on something. Okay. Well, what do you think about the rest of this Indiana schedule? Here, let's take a look at it. Sorry, we flipped it. 2024. So you've got UCLA at home. That's fun.
Yeah.
You got Purdue at home, Penn State at home. That's not. You guys got a good home schedule in 2024.
Yeah, I like Penn State being at home this year. I think definitely when we play them in 2025, probably going to lose that game, and I don't expect us to beat Penn State in that environment. But yeah, I like UCLA at home. I like playing UCLA. I think that'd be a fun, interesting game just because we haven't played them. I don't think we played them ever in the history of the program, in any bowl game or anything like that. So it's gonna be interesting playing them. Minnesota's gonna be good with PJ Fleck. And again, Maryland, what they're doing over there, they've been building up that program.
I mean, your UCLA game is just getting ready for football season or basketball season. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
That's gonna be
definitely. Fun. Yeah, but we're a basketball school in that type of sense. In that way, it'd be interesting to see how they do in football field and how they do on the hardwood. But I do like.
And what do you do?
Oh, sorry. I'll say go back to 20. Yeah, I'll say again, Nebraska. I don't know how they're going to do this. How they're going to do next year. Again, be very interesting to see how they do this year with Matt Rule.
Question.
Yeah, it's definitely a good question. I know we lost to them. I think last year, which wasn't good. But again, they are more of a football school compared to what we are. I think Northwestern's going to be okay. I think they're going to be decent. I mean,
if you could have the last 6 years that they've had and still put 90,000 people in the stands.
I'll take that all day. We'll take that all day. Yeah, definitely. I'll take that all day. We need to fill up the Memorial Stadium at some point.
Well, and you guys have done some really cool renovations on Memorial Stadium.
We have. Yeah, we have definitely. We definitely
it's
have.
Awesome looking now. Because it used to be, kind of random, but now it looks really cool. I love the style of it.
Yeah. And I also see a lot of things like that too in Indiana, us building. And I also see Kansas trying to do something too with their football stadium. So it's kind of cool seeing, the less oriented football schools trying to become, try to compete on that level. So I definitely think, UCLA will probably fill a lot of seats. I don't know when we're playing them in 2024, if it's going to be cold, if the Southern California. Well, if they're coming out here, coming down to Indiana, Southern Cal, I don't know.
Oh, hon, have you seen how many people they bring to their home games?
Well, hey, when you're playing South Alabama, though, when you're playing South Alabama,
they don't go to Pasadena.
But when you're playing South Alabama, though, it's kind of
I'm sorry, it's too easy. I can't resist.
I know. But when you're playing South Alabama week 1 in the middle of summer still, I can see why not a lot of them want to come out there.
Sure. So I took so much flack from my UCLA friends. I put on Twitter, I was like, all right, so what's the excuse this week? Because it was every week, school hasn't started. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, the Mercury's in retrograde. Whatever. There was always a reason. Yeah. There were never people in the stands.
But at least when Michigan comes out there, at least you'll have
our friend TBM is going to cream me for saying that.
But at least when Michigan gets there, they'll have their fans fill up the seats and everything. So, once every 2 years, they have the stadium filled up for one game, potentially.
They do. And I'll tell you, the Big Ten is going to be great for bringing fans to their games too.
Definitely, guys. Because again, USC Rutgers, that's a conference game now, football and everything else.
I love it. I'm excited because people don't realize too. USC has a huge alumni base in New York. So people love that. Again, when we played there in New York, USC fans filled up Times Square for a huge pep rally and all that. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be cool.
Definitely. And I think again, be interesting.
Do you go to LA or?
We play UCLA. I believe. Well, I know again we play UCLA as part.
No, you don't go to LA.
Oh, wait. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh no, you do. You come to USC.
Yeah, UC. There you go.
That'll be fun. You get to see the Coliseum, the torch lighting, and the horse, and all the you get to see all the rigmarole.
And then probably get blown out by 30 points.
Here's from your lips to God's ear.
No,
You know what? You never know. That could be a good game. It could be a good game. Like, because you guys are doing a lot of stuff, getting to be better.
Hey, if Tom Allen
Indiana
can
turned
recruit
around.
and coach, and actually put a decent product on the field, I think we probably could compete with USC. And that's really surprising me to say because, again, I know USC's been down to what the standards are the past couple of years. And, Lincoln Riley's trying to build that program back up. Last year, couldn't tackle anybody and lost to Utah. But,
we tackled no one. But we got great new players. We've got you see. Okay, hold on. I'm his hero. UCLA fans travel about as well as a 1978 AMC Gremlin.
Hey, and that's the thing though, because you guys do have to travel in November, and October into the cold weather cities,
Yeah, but remember, we traveled to Salt Lake City, Boulder, Pullman, Washington, Seattle, Eugene, Corvallis. So we do. I mean, it's not like USC and UCLA didn't play some cold weather games.
But that's closer though, isn't it? It's a lot closer than Lincoln, Nebraska, and Minneapolis.
I mean, they're no further north.
True, but I'm just saying though, there's a little more distance you have to cover.
That's all right. I mean, you know what? When you're on the private Dreamliner, it's fine.
I never experienced, so I couldn't know. I didn't know how it is.
So I had a blast when we had family coaching in the baseball all-star game a few years ago, and so I actually got to fly on the charter jet with the New York Mets from New York to San Diego for the all-star game. It was a blast. And we flew both ways with them, and it was it's funny because I mean even if you're used to sometimes flying, even if you're used to flying private, sometimes the difference between the way the sports teams fly privately and even regular people fly privately is a whole nother world. I mean, when you're talking about police motorcades to the tarmac, I mean, all those guys when they fly, I don't know if you guys know this, TSA meets them in the locker room. And they go, they get a quick wanding in the locker room, and then the motorcades take them directly out on the tarmac. They get on the plane, and it takes off. So it's not travel is good when you're one of these sports teams.
I'm getting. I didn't know. I travel with Southwest Airlines. Okay, so I have to go to the airport.
It's the opposite of Southwest.
Yeah, I'm not used to the high luxury that all these colleges.
Yeah, and Ed, friend of the show, Eddie, has a great point here. It's easier to get to Maryland from LA than Washington State. That is absolutely true. I don't know if you guys know this. Last time USC went to Washington State, they didn't even the airport people didn't even know how to take care of the plane properly, and it tipped over with the whole football staff in it. It had a tail strike, it went butt down and hit the ground with the football staff on the plane. So it is never easy to get there. Who says I want to face Michigan again? Golden Playbook is ready. I hope Notre Dame comes to the Big Ten. That's an easy win. I like it, Troy.
And I like it. I do want to maybe continue with the Notre Dame talk. I know they got AAU status, and the schedule came out today, which is
I'm excited for them.
Do you think now if Notre Dame joins and maybe Miami joins, do you think maybe these protected rivals will be different now with them joining potentially? Or do you think?
No. So first of all, well, one of the things to remember, Notre Dame essentially is a USC protected rival already, and USC and Notre Dame have played, with the exception of the COVID year, I think have played there might have been 1 year they didn't play during World War II, travel restrictions, but USC and Notre Dame have played every year since the 1920s. So it's, that game would be really nice if they did. I mean, I don't know if they will or not. With the AAU thing, first of all those schools deserve their AAU status. And they all have earned it. In fact, I have a chart actually. Notre Dame and Miami, if you look on this, have you seen the charts we use on the deep dives?
Yeah. I try.
Academic rank and athletic performance.
Oh yeah. I seen those. Yeah.
If you split that in half, on the right-hand side, every single school except Notre Dame and Miami were already AAU. So they're really filling in those gaps. And it wasn't until I saw that chart that it really hit me on kind of like, okay, these schools really do deserve it. It's not. I mean, we know it's not just a Big Ten thing, right? Because it's the AAU, but you really do see how well they deserve it. And if they do join the Big Ten, that'd be awesome. If they don't, that's also awesome. Greg Sankey today talked a lot about the importance of really conferences not trying to be too big. And talked a lot about how he kind of doesn't like when conference commissioners just kind of ramble on that, like they're playing Risk. Like, oh, let's conquer more property. Like there's a whole lot more to it. And I really respect Greg Sankey. I think he's an amazing guy. I think he's a brilliant leader. And I think he really encapsulated that pretty well today.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like conferences going like to 24, 20 teams. But I do kind of see, though, they're trying to get all the money they can, because they're trying to turn profit into day, like a business. They're trying to just grow and get more money for you.
Yeah, but at the same time, here's the issue. I mean, let's be honest here. And I'm going to get lampooned for this in the comments, I'm sure. But the money really comes from games like Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to add, Somerville State, they're not worth the money if they're going to be on BTN.
Yeah.
The money's only worth it when you're talking about the Michigan games and the Ohio State games and the the Penn State game. So, I mean, if you for example, say you add Miami, okay, that's super exciting and awesome. You got to have a place to put them.
Definitely.
So where are you going to put them? Because your schedule right now, the Big Ten schedule right now is booked from noon until 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we put them? Third thing, like if you're going to add, and not only that, but I don't know if you know this, the Big Ten schedule now actually also, nobody talks about this, but also includes the options for some late night games for USC and UCLA. Like, I don't know, let's just pick a random, like this UCLA, like this UCLA Nebraska game could be like 9 p.m. at Nebraska. Or 8 p.m., whatever time that, I don't know, whatever time that is. 9 p.m. at Nebraska. Yeah, 9 p.m. at Nebraska. So that's an option that Fox has. So that'll be interesting.
Definitely,
we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, again, I don't know. This is rumors, I know they got AAU status, and I know that they were like, oh, they're going to the Big Ten one. They're going to Big Ten, and they're going to be the future expansion of the conference. I'm like, I see Notre Dame doing it because, again, Notre Dame has, historical rivalries.
Notre Dame should have done it in like the 80s.
Yeah. Or even earlier than that, too, Kai. I think I was watching a video one time. They're like, the Big Ten kind of like, shunned them to the side. They're like, no, we don't want you guys to join us because, we're all prestigious.
Oh, they completely did.
And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. But one last thing.
So Fielding Yost, not like Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, so one last thing. Minnesota and Michigan are not playing for the Little Brown Jug.
Are they not?
They're not. I don't think they are.
No. Michigan gets a year. The Brown Jug gets a year off. I didn't even realize that.
I was looking at it
that makes me sad because
and I wanted to bring that up because again, Minnesota plays Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin.
Okay, they do in 24, but not in 25.
Yeah, so you're
right.
Well, again, I don't think they played annually, but I know that one is like the oldest rivalry in FBS still playing.
One of them.
I think it might be one.
There's a bar. There's a bar called the Brown Jug that might have been willing to serve high school students when I was in high school. We won't mention that.
But I wanted to bring that up.
The Brown Jug has a special place in my heart.
As one of the things I don't like about schedule, that's one of the games I wish the schedule had for the two, the 2 cycle thing. I think that's another underrated rivalry too. I know Michigan probably dominates that series on Minnesota, but as one of probably, again, the oldest probably in the Big Ten, that's not a in-state rivalry. That one definitely is very special in a lot of things.
It is. And those states have history too.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And Minnesota, by the way, was the school that really pushed for Michigan State to be able to join the Big Ten. In the late 40s when they were trying to replace Chicago, when there were only 9 members, and they were trying to decide between Nebraska, Pitt, Michigan State, Iowa State, and a few others. Minnesota was really the one that really pushed through for Michigan State.
And they're probably stemmed you playing
history.
Michigan every year. That rivalry, having that build, trying to bring another in-state institution. Well, I take that back. I have one last thing I want to bring up. Penn State has no protected rivals at all.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Kind of. But
I guess they should do. Maybe they should do Rutgers, but because that has Rutgers has a lot of history actually.
But
going
Michigan
back
State,
to
though, has a
East
rivalry
State.
with them. They have a trophy name for their rivalry, and they've been playing them longer than Rutgers. Technically,
Yeah, they probably should. You're probably right.
No, I
They
was watching the Big Ten during the whole schedule release earlier, and I'm like, oh, Penn State has no protected rivals, but why don't give them Michigan State, or even Maryland? I know they've been playing Maryland the last couple of years too.
Well, it's also possible, and I'm entirely just throwing out here what's possible. I mean, this in 2 years they might revise this, and there's a couple on here like that one, where they do play them both years, and so it might be possible to turn some of those blue lines into white lines in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
To sort of say, okay, how does this work? Let's make sure we like it, make sure we're good with it, and then we can add a few more.
Definitely. Again, I think because Iowa has all their protected rivals, so I think just going through these first 2 years, seeing how it works, and then going back, okay, Iowa likes playing Minnesota, Nebraska, Wisconsin every year, okay, but Penn State doesn't play really anybody that that's technically a protected rival. So let's see how we can adjust the schedule a bit. But again, I think right now this flex protect plus thing, the Big Ten should have probably done this a while ago in a scheduling format. I think now, since UCLA and USC are joining, okay, we need to figure this out before they join, because we don't want them playing, Rutgers every year.
Hey, those of us who spend a lot of our time in New York would love to have USC.
Oh yeah, I know,
Rutgers
yeah, but
every year.
everybody else though, traveling
It's
UCLA,
true.
traveling all the way to the other side of the country to play, in football. I get basketball and everything else. It's easier to travel that way, but playing every year football, it's just a little more different.
It is. It'll be interesting. Well, hey, thank you for calling in. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Go Hoosiers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Who is next? Jackson, hold on. Jackson, nod to me. Can you stick around for a minute? Okay, perfect. We got Need More Cowbell.
Hey
Welcome.
There. Hey there.
How's
Thanks,
it going?
Tony. Doing very well
Good
out
to
here
see
on
you.
the West Coast.
Perfect. What do you think of the schedule?
I like it. I think USC and UCLA add a lot of excitement and competition to a conference that was getting pretty stale, to be honest. I just can't figure out how they're going to work a Big Ten championship game and how they're going to decide the two teams to be in it if everybody ends up with 2 losses.
I don't. Does anybody in the chat? Forgive me because I had to actually step away from part of the broadcast, so I didn't hear if they went through the tiebreaker formula. Does anyone know the actual? I mean, not like what we. I mean, we could guess some stuff what it would be, but does anybody in the chat? Do you guys know the actual tiebreaker formula? If you do, we'd love to see. I didn't catch it on the air today. Yeah, it's a good question, especially probably for second place. Who knows? Keelani says coin flips. Oh, why not?
Well, yeah.
Rock favorite scissors.
If you're a 2-loss team and you think you might not make it with 3 losses to the playoffs, why do you want to be in that championship game?
That's a good question. We'll see, and it'll be interesting to sort of see how the whole playoff structure works too, because we may see some revisions to how that happens as we move forward in coming years.
And is there any talk about them switching up the championship game from the current location in Indiana to alternating between East Coast and West Coast?
I have no idea. I mean, I see what people talk about. Like people say, "Oh, they should." There's a wonderful. I mean, I joke with USC and UCLA. We should just have the championship game like it should be, January 1st at 2 p.m. in Pasadena.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
I mean, that's pretty much how it was for a long time.
Yep.
let's see. Hold on, we're getting some answers. Justin said, okay, they didn't. Okay, so I didn't miss it. He says they didn't announce it yet. I presume it'd be highest team in the right. Yeah, it might be something like that. I think that's what the Pac-12 does. John has an answer. As always, John knows the right answer. He says tiebreakers to be announced. So I guess we'll find out. That'll be interesting. Now, who do you cheer for?
I cheer for University of Michigan, even though I am a Kalamazoo College graduate.
Oh, nice.
Which is a pretty insignificant place, but
it is not. My brother went to Western. Go Kalamazoo.
There you go. I can remember Michigan, USC, Rose Bowls as a kid. They were in both, and USC, Ohio State Rose Bowls kid. They were just awesome events. And particularly with USC now, because LA has become this economic powerhouse. And when it's turned on to football, you just can't describe the kind of money that just flies around and the fun. And you have to get the stars involved. And it is just the switch that turns on between we don't care to we care everything about this. And hopefully that's what we're going to get.
True. It's so because I've been there for both of them. I've been there for both. And I'll tell you, how cool is it going to be when the band launches into the Victors as Michigan takes the field in the Coliseum?
Michigan's record in the Coliseum and on the West Coast is not really good. So it's usually the prelude to a funeral.
Hey, I'll
USC
take it.
has their number out there. Kidding. But I really enjoy
they
USC.
so often do.
USC.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
It's a fantastic atmosphere. And particularly because I lived for years on the East Coast.
I'll tell you something really funny.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
No, go
ahead. I was going to say my dad played for Duffy at Michigan State back in the day. Oh, I said my dad played for Michigan for Duffy at Michigan State, and they played at USC and they played against UCLA while he was there. And any of the guys that he played with or his coaches, whenever they found out I went to USC, most of them always had the exact same reaction, and they would say the exact same thing, and they would just look at me and go, I hate that effing horse. Because the horse just rode around the field as USC scored on Michigan State. So they were like, I hate that. It was always, I hate that effing horse, although they didn't abbreviate it.
We always hated those silly helmets the band wears.
Exactly. It's part of the charm. What hey, what do you think here? You know, taking a look at Michigan. They got Maryland both years, so you go to DC, which is kind of nice.
Yep.
What do you think? Dependent was just suggesting that he thought they should have given Michigan Minnesota as a protected rival too. What do you think about that?
No, the Little Brown Jug has been on and off for years, so it's lost its luster, and the rivalry is so one-sided that it's it's really kind of past, and that's one of those traditions that lives on that probably shouldn't.
Fighting words.
Yeah, I know, but economics change. We're not talking about the U.S. of the 1950s. People have moved around. The economics of the country have changed, and that's just sort of what it is. I mean, Michigan feels the effect of that too. It doesn't have the demographic base it used to. It doesn't have the economic base it used to. That's just reality.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here really quick at Michigan. We've got so 2024. We got Michigan. I know we got Michigan people in the chat. You guys probably all know this by heart. I don't yet. You're going 2 Illinois, 2 Ohio State, 2 Rutgers, and 2 USC.
Okay, there's your losses.
Fingers crossed. And you got home. You got Maryland. You got Michigan State at home. Minnesota at home. I'll tell you that UCLA game in the Big House is going to be cool too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. for people who've never been out to the West Coast, it's amazing how much Eugene and Corvallis, Oregon, look like Iowa.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's
The low rolling hills.
No, it's plain flat.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Part. I don't know. I've driven through Iowa, and there's always little bits of hills and.
Yeah. Corvallis is particularly flat out in Oregon, and it's cool all year round. So West Coast teams will be well prepared. I mean, it is. You think of nice, sunny, warm West Coast. That's not reality. I was just out to the Oregon coast, and it was 57 degrees on the ocean.
Yeah. Maine is the same way. Maine, 4th of July in Maine is the coldest ocean I've ever been in my life. I swear.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the West Coast teams aren't going to struggle as much with cold weather as you think they're going to.
They go to Corvallis. They go to Washington State. They go to Colorado with it at elevation and it snows.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Any other thoughts?
This schedule feels like a bridge to something else. I mean, it's good for, I would say, like leaders and legends division. It was good for a couple years, and then, oh look, we've done something else. This is a trial balloon to see how it goes because we're thinking of something else.
It may be. I mean, I think it's solid is the thing. Like, I look at this, and of course there's some games that I wish we could have, certainly in those first 2 years, I wish, but as far as it goes, like, I don't see nothing here feels out of place to me.
No, I think it brings a lot of excitement back to the conference. That was getting pretty stale, to be honest. If you really looked at it in the last couple of years, the SEC has been more competitive than the Big Ten. No one wants to go back to, other than if you're Michigan or Ohio State, I suppose, go back to the Big 2, Little 8. That's just terrible TV till November. And no one is going to think that USC or UCLA is a bye week under any circumstances.
We'll take it.
Yeah, you will see things from West Coast teams you have never seen before. Guaranteed.
It'll be fun. We like it.
Yep.
Well, hang in there and go blue.
All right. Thank you, Tony, for having me on.
Thanks, Seymour Cowbell. We'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty.
All right. Hey, I am bringing in two friends of the show. We're bringing in Will and Jackson as I grab a glass of water. So, Will? What do you think of this schedule?
I think it's fun. I do wish there were some rivalries that kind of stayed together, but it's definitely better than what it was. Like the Little Brown Jug does make me a little sad, but is what it is. I'm curious to see what if and when Notre Dame joins, who our rivals are going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be, I don't know, because we're rivals with so many of these schools. Of course, USC is going to be on there, but where are the other two going to be? Is it going to be Michigan State, Purdue? Is it going to be Michigan, Penn State? It'll be fun to see.
So, I could see it be. I would think it would be. Hold on, let's look at the rivals list. Let's think about what we would do with Notre Dame on this rivals list. Who's Northwestern got? So I would think USC and Northwestern.
Okay. You don't think Purdue?
Maybe, but Purdue already has two.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe it should be Purdue. Maybe. I mean, heck, maybe you drop Illinois off Purdue. I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that Notre Dame Purdue's more of a rivalry than Purdue Illinois, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I believe it.
Yeah.
Tony, are you
What is
happy
this?
with? Tony, are
I'm
you?
reading TBM's comments on you.
Are you happy with Penn State?
Am I happy with what?
To start? Are you happy with Penn State and Wisconsin to start as your 2 plays?
I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
Yeah.
USC in a whiteout?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Penn State at USC, that's going to be a blast. You know, the USC fans getting to do jump around. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I could just see like the band doing it. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
it's gonna be
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think about till you brought it up. You guys, USC fans doing the jump around at Camp Randall. That's gonna be so awesome.
It's gonna be the band will be there. It'll be doing it up. It'll be a great time. And Penn State. I mean, that game will probably be the whiteout at night. You know, when they come to LA, that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a hard-hitting game. I mean, they're a great team, really well coached. It's going to be fun. Of course, UCLA's protect rival. Yeah, I mean, if there's certainly room for Notre Dame, but also, I mean, the Notre Dame thing might not happen for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked Twitter in 10 minutes, so it might have happened today. But no, I'm just kidding. I thought it was also, you know, telling they've announced their new athletic director, the athletic director in waiting.
NBC guy.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about, and Will, you would know this better than I do. You know, people talk about this, but I don't know what like the Notre Dame board members think of the idea of the Big Ten, or what like Notre Dame's mega donors think of the Big Ten. You know, it doesn't matter what like fans
I think
like.
the academic people like it, but the football people want to keep the independence.
Yeah, I mean the big money people might like it. You know, who knows? Hold on, we've got a super chat. And by the way, thank you guys. If you guys want to have a comment, you want to put it on the screen, you have a question. We got Will. I mean, right now we got Will and Jackson. Like, these are guys we should ask questions to.
Yeah.
If you're supporting Mark's channel with a super chat, he really appreciates it. And Mark is out of town right now, which is why we are holding down the fort. But I know Mark really appreciates it, and so does everybody from the community. So Mark sends his regards and thanks, by the way, guys. As does Joey, who couldn't be with us today. John says, in the long run for ND, give them USC, Stanford, Purdue.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could totally see that.
That's actually, yeah, John, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows with Stanford? The TV networks have said no, but who knows? Who knows?
I think it'll be US. Like, if we were to join now, I think it would be USC, Michigan State, and Purdue, probably.
Yeah, I mean, the Michigan State game would be big.
Yeah, the Megaphone Trophy and the jewel in the shillelagh without the jewel, which is
exactly.
Purdue. Yeah.
I can't. I've always wondered what it was like being a part of that 1966 Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
My dad was in the press box as a GA coach.
Oh my God, that is so awesome.
You didn't know that?
Oh man, that is.
I
so
think like
cool.
one of our players got hurt in like a train. Like they were taking like a Amtrak or something, and like it was crazy, man. That whole game is crazy.
No, that game was epic.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That was the last time Notre Dame ever took public transit to go to a game.
Wow.
Because all the Michigan State fans like were trying to attack them. Yeah.
Were they?
Yeah.
There. Yeah. Oh, there's
yeah.
a big...
And then they're like, oh nope, only university sponsored like travel now.
Oh man, like how?
Well, supposedly, so that was back when the Pac-12 was still sorting through its like hatred of each other from the 50s. So they didn't play each other in all the games, and so USC was going to the Rose Bowl. And UCLA was really, I think it was, and UCLA was really mad about it. And when Notre Dame had to play USC the next week after the tie. And the UCLA players were waiting for them, and they were like, we have a scouting report for you.
Oh, thank you, Bruins.
And you proceeded to hand us one of the worst losses in the history of USC. Yeah. So it was not a happy moment for the Trojans.
Yeah. You guys got us back with OJ though. So.
We did. We got you back. It was pretty cool.
Oh man.
And hey, by the way, who should call in? We should have Search call in. As a new member of the Pac-12. I have to question Penn State's relevance anything if they can't even manage to have a single rival.
Well,
Oh, that's too funny.
oh, that's
Big Ten, he
that's
cracks it.
a good thing to think about. The rivalry week. Now we know Illinois Northwestern will be on rivalry week. Indiana Purdue will be on rivalry week. Iowa Nebraska, Minnesota Wisconsin, Michigan Ohio State, Rutgers Maryland. Now USC, I mean they'll still do Notre Dame on the even number years, and I'm guessing they're going to do USC UCLA in the odd number years on rivalry week. So
It's a good question. I'll tell you what wouldn't surprise me. This is not a prediction. This is not inside information. This is just wouldn't surprise me. Given the Big Ten has these 3 big old flagship dates or times now, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they take a couple of those rivalries and maybe spread them over like a couple more weeks, or something. So they're not all on the same day sometimes, just to get them on those slots. It also would not surprise me if USC UCLA is not a mate, like if we're not both good. It wouldn't surprise me if that ended up a late game, because remember, Fox has the right to televise Big Ten late games in that after dark slot on Fox.
that'd be cool.
So yeah, if one of those 2 teams, we won't say which one, is not very good, Search is going to be bad anger typing at us.
You saw his last comment. That was funny.
Oh, what did he say? Well, let me switch. This is going to be good. I can't even see it, but I know it's going to be good. USC say only be on rival week half the time because USC is spoiled and has to have its last game at home. That's true. There's a reason they call it the University of Spoiled Children. It's true. You didn't know that, Jackson?
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
The University of Spoiled Children. You're also supposed to make the S a $sign and the C a cent sign if you're from UCLA. They sell t-shirts with that. Hey guys, well, what do we think here of let's go back. What do we think of Northwestern?
Well, they have their
only one rival
with Illinois. So that's
I
nice
was
for them.
Will, I was a little surprised they didn't have USC paired with Northwestern because of a flip side with the Notre Dame game.
Oh,
so they would have a Chicago game both years.
Yeah,
but I mean they do have Wisconsin, so I'm guessing that's going to be
Wisconsin's close, because I remember going to O'Hare and Midway Airport and seeing Wisconsin fans there going to see the Badgers.
Okay.
Yeah, we were like talking. We always chatted with them about college football. It was fun.
We got Sharice. What does Sharice say? Sharice is wondering if they'll add Notre Dame. That's a really good question, Sharice. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm loving the chat. We got a fun chat today. You guys have been fun. We've been on here for a while, cranking away. Any surprises here, guys?
Any surprises?
Well, I did say earlier that I was surprised that State didn't have a protected rival, but at the same time, I heard that's how they wanted it. And Nebraska, I'm surprised Wisconsin's not on this list for Nebraska on.
Yeah, because they play for a trophy too, right?
Well,
don't they?
Well, that and yeah, Wisconsin's been having a big winning streak over Nebraska as of late. Last time Nebraska 2012, but I really think it's really going to go 50-50 with Matt Rule going over to Nebraska and Luke Fickle to Wisconsin. It's going to be amazing how they turn those teams into contenders.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Fickle take Wisconsin playing USC both years is going to be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's going to be a great game this year. Wisconsin going to Washington State.
Wow.
At Wazoo. Like that'll be kind of a fun game.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's one of those like early season fun games that like I don't think anybody's really ready for.
Well, I'll definitely be flipping between that game and Oregon, Texas Tech, and Bama, Texas for sure.
Oh my God, Oregon, Texas Tech. Those are two fan bases that are going to love each other or not.
For sure. They're like
they might. I don't know. They're either going to hate each other or they're going to be like,
yeah,
kind of like this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the two. No in between.
At least it's not Kansas State. We don't like Kansas State fans.
No. Yeah, there's a couple.
I just on Twitter.
Yeah, there's a couple we could do without. But I'll tell you. So I actually love Kansas State because I've taught workshops at Kansas State a couple times. Like, and I've spent like a week in Manhattan. You know, we would go out at night in Aggieville. Like, Kansas State is a cool place, and the actual people from Kansas State are wonderful. Like,
that's cool.
Everybody that I met at Kansas State was awesome. The university people were fantastic. We had a blast with the workshop and all the students that we worked with, and they were really, really cool. You know, they have some vile people on Twitter, but who doesn't? They just have a little bit more of them and a little bit more vile. But the actual real life Kansas State people are awesome. And Kansas State is a cool place. Like,
sorry, Kansas State fans.
No. Here's the other thing. It's 4 hours from anywhere. But it is the coolest city. Like, they have this whole little like neighborhood bar district called Aggieville, and Aggieville is a blast. Like, on game days, it's supposed to just be off the hook. So Kansas State is really cool. I know when USC played there years under Pete Carroll, so not many people made the trip because it was so far away. But the people that went there, the people like that went out at night said that they just had a blast in Aggieville. And then I really liked when I was going there. Somebody's saying Kansas State is a cool place. Yeah, I mean, it's far from anywhere, but it's like very much a quintessential college town in the middle of nowhere. Kind of like Lubbock. Like, I mean, the thing about Lubbock is impossible to get to, right? But like, it's people that go to school there love it. They have a blast. It's just 4 hours from where you want to be. So I like our favorite New Yorker says it's so cool. Maybe the second coolest Manhattan. Anyway, I like that. All right, hey guys. Well, we are hitting 2.5 hours. Any other thoughts on the schedule?
I'm excited to see what 2024 brings, man. It is going to be awesome. I mean, that conference, the Big Ten, it's going to be stacked.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. But, like, I wonder what Iowa's coaching situation will be going into after this season, but that's neither here nor there.
That's a really good question, actually. It's particularly their offensive coaching situation.
Yeah, but you can't ask Kirk to fire Brian Ferentz. I mean, you can. You can, but it's just gonna result in him retiring. I just wonder if that means either Brett Bielema goes to Iowa or if Mark Stoops goes to Iowa or if they get Matt Entz from North Dakota State.
That's a good question. By the way, Tim says hello.
Tim, I thought Tim was coming on.
I know. I'm just asking him right now. I just texted him. Okay. What about you guys? Hey, you guys in the chat as we sort of wrap up here. Is there anybody else in the chat that wants to dial in? Tim and Matt Zim are going to go live right after this show to put on a USC slant. All right. Well, let's give a last call then. If anybody in the chat right now wants to join us, here is the call-in link. As a last call here. We'll give them a sec, guys. Any games on here that you think are sort of this is the 2024 schedule here. Any unusual ones you're kind of looking forward to?
Any unusual ones?
Oh, hold on. Okay, guys, we got company. We got a Bruin in the house.
Here we go.
The Bruin schedule.
How are you, my friend?
You're muted.
Oh.
Oh, he left us.
Oh man. So let's look at this list.
Immaculate says he would call him, but he's got pizza. Okay, enjoy your pizza, Immaculate.
There you go.
We respect the pizza.
There you go. Pizza rules.
Oh, hold on. Let's get. You want to call back in, Chris, real quick?
I'm excited. I don't know. I'm just excited to
Give
see
him 1
US
sec. We got another caller. We'll give Chris 1 sec to get called back in. Because we haven't had any Bruin perspectives yet. So okay, he'll get. Has Erica called in to complain about the Iowa? No, is the Iowa schedule bad? Hold on, let's see this, guys.
It's not. I mean, they do have Ohio State and the children, so.
Okay, they go to USC. They go to Ohio State. Illinois, we'll see. Minnesota, they should win. Rutgers, they should win. And then they got Maryland, Nebraska, UCLA, Wisconsin at home. That's not bad. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
I was summoned. I had to call in.
You were summoned.
I was summoned. No, actually, I just came from Corey's channel. He was doing a live, so I'm here now. And as far as this Z Paulson person who always likes to seem to make the nicest comments to me, I don't really have any complaints. Actually,
It looks like a good schedule to me.
I have no complaints. My only thing is I'm not very fond of Iowa sticking with the Iowa State, what's it called? Competition or game, because I just feel like we're dominant already, and I feel like we need more room to put other teams in that slot.
Ooh,
Is Erica attacking Cyclone Nation?
It's the truth. I didn't say anything about Cyclone Nation. I'm not insulting their fans. It's just I'm saying the facts. And if you look at the stats, that's supported. It's supported. Like before this last year, we were winning 66% of the games against them.
Ooh, well, you gotta get him. Well, you gotta get him back this year at least. You gotta get.
We will. McNary's gonna beat them.
Erica, what about the year they won 10 games? Oh, that's never happened. Sorry, never mind.
Actually, we've won 10 games in a year before.
No, I said
joking.
they.
Are you making fun of Kirk with that comment? Because that's his excuse for everything.
No, I was making fun of Iowa State for having never won 10 games.
Oh, Iowa State is like. Anyway, we're not here to talk about.
That's right. They're not in the Big Ten. They're not in the Big Ten.
Right. But getting back to
hey, Erica, what do you think about next year in the Coliseum? How fun is that going to be?
It's hilarious that you mentioned that, because I was like, I haven't been to LA in a few years, so
you gotta come.
Maybe
you gotta go.
Maybe. I think it's gonna be a fun game though, because last time, like the Holiday Bowl, I know that we beat you guys, so I know that there's some, there's some potential there for it to get a little fierce. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So no, I don't have any complaints except, like I said, the Iowa State rivalry being, kept. And I'm also not fond of the fact that we are keeping the Nebraska rivalry either. Just because I think 3 is too much. Like I said, our schedule is just too you can predict it too easily. A quarter of our schedule.
You know what though? You know what I thought about this though, Eric? I felt like they designated your 3 rivals. But I feel like other people kind of have that too.
Erica, do you guys hate Nebraska?
It's just not officially designated.
I feel like Nebraska fans online really don't like the Hawkeyes. Is it the same way with Hawkeyes and the Huskers? Do you guys not like them?
You know what? It depends on who it is. I don't make generalizations usually. The Husker fans I don't like are those who are living in last century, who keep trying to pull stuff and saying like, oh, well, you haven't won a national championship in blah, blah, blah years. Well, you haven't won the century either. So sorry. Like,
fair.
So those are the ones I don't like. And there's some very nice Husker fans. I mean, I wouldn't say from any fan base that I hate all of them or anything. I'm just not that type of person. But yeah, some of them are obnoxious. That is part of it.
Erica, hold on. You got a fan base here.
Oh, Dependent Fanatic. I like Dependent Fanatic. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I try to be sensible. I mean, I've been told I'm a homer, which I think that anyone who calls me a homer for Iowa has not listened to me, because I constantly criticize them. Yeah. But anyway, no, I'm feeling okay with this. I was saying on Corey's stream earlier that I think that Iowa football, not just football actually, but all of Iowa athletics. I think we're at a crossroads right now, given that we're going to be getting a new athletic director and the fact that we're finally starting to get there with NIL. Like we saw the effects of it on our recruits from the transfer portal this, in the last few months. Like we've gotten some great transfers, and we've gotten some highly ranked recruits from high school too. So I think that it can go really bad or really well, depending on who we hire as our new coach whenever Kirk leaves. Because I think that's coming soon. I think that he's not going to make it through this contract.
Do you think Fran's not going to make it either?
I don't know enough about men's basketball
to
comment, but a lot of Hawkeye fans just don't seem fond of him. I can't comment. I don't really watch men's basketball. I did start watching women's basketball.
Yeah, your women's team's awesome.
Yeah. I
really
love.
were.
Yeah, they were great, and I love their coach, Lisa Bluter. She's just amazing, and Jan Jensen too. She's fantastic. So I love them. But so I think we're at a crossroads, and I think it's very, very important that we pick the next athletic director carefully, and that we don't just accept who's our current interim. I mean, I think she's great, but I think it would be a mistake not to do a search. And if she's the best person qualified at the end of all that, fantastic, she's it. But if not, it should be the person who's most deserving.
Yeah.
Will the new AD, decide they're going to keep Kirk Ferentz, say, after 2023 if he doesn't get rid of Brian Ferentz for, let's say, they don't win the West Division, for example? Because, I mean, this year looks like the best year for Iowa.
To be clear, the athletic director decides whether or not Brian Ferentz stays.
Oh, that's not true, and you know it. That's not true. And you know it.
But here's the thing: is it needs to be true.
No, it does, and you know what? It could be with the new.
I mean,
whoever they
it's
hire.
legally true. But anybody that's going to come in that job needs to know up front. I'm making this call.
Yeah.
Because it's on there. It's on them.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason that they have the law structured like that. There's a reason the guy's reporting is structured like that.
Yeah, I feel that whoever the next person ends up being, whoever it might be, they do need to start holding people accountable, and they need to just not do everything Kirk wants all the time. Kirk, a lot of Hawkeye fans think I hate Kirk or something. It's not true. I'm just very critical because I want my team to be the best it can be. And at this time in the stage, especially with the new Big Ten setup, I'm not sure that Kirk is the one who will serve us best. And, like I said, it is a turning point. So it's important that we have the right staff. And I hope, I want us to win at least 10 games, because in my eyes, if we don't win 10 games next season, it's a failure. And I know that sounds nuts to a lot of people.
Wait, this season or next season?
This coming one, 2023.
This coming one, okay.
Yeah. So, and I know that sounds nuts to a lot of people, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, but your offense." Well, we've done some work on that side of the ball, and I'm not saying we're gonna be the best offense or top 50 or anything, but the reality is we don't need to be with our defense. We don't need to be a top 50 offense necessarily. If we are great, but we don't necessarily do that.
Here's the thing: if they don't score, you can't lose.
Well, actually, in our what's it called? In our situation, it's if Xavier Wampa or Cooper DeJean are out there and they do interceptions, we will win. That's what it was.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. But remember, as my dad's defensive coaches used to always say, if they don't score, we can't lose.
Right. No, but joking aside, I think we're going to see, I don't want to say we're going to see a revamped offense because everybody knows that's not happening, but I think we will see improvement. How much improvement remains to be seen, but I think we have a decent chance. And like I said, anything less than 10 games, regardless of how we win them, because at the end of the day, it matters how you win. You win them, and how you get there. I mean, I would love to see like 50 points put up, but it's not. That's not how Iowa football is currently played. That's just not what it is, unless you're playing Maryland, in which case you get 7 interceptions and you get like 50 something points, and they get like 1 touchdown. But anyway.
Now I've heard, Erica, based on some friends that may have seen some team play a New Orleans-based team in the Cotton Bowl, that it is possible to actually score like 1 million points and also not win.
Yeah.
If you don't tackle anybody, you can't win.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, that's my feelings about this. I think we need to modernize. I think Kirk's era needs to go out on a high note, like we were just discussing on Corey's show when I called in. And I think we're set up to do that this year. given our improvements from the transfer portal and also the schedule. And I think if we do super well, I think that Kirk can retire on a high note. And as far as him getting pushed out by anybody, I don't think that's happening. But I also think that if Brian ends up saying, you know, you're, like we say to Brian, you're out of here, I think Kirk will also be out of there, because I don't see it. I just don't see him staying if Brian is cut out. So,
you know, hey Erica, one final thing. I think I have an AD suggestion for you who knows how to make the tough calls.
Mm-hmm.
Jacinda.
Who? I didn't hear you.
Jacinda.
I don't know. You tell me about that person.
I'll tell you later. I'll DM you on Twitter. Sorry,
okay, yeah. I don't pay much attention on national.
An inside joke for Erica.
Yeah, I mean, to be really honest, I don't pay much attention on the national level as much, just because I'm so focused in on Iowa and trying to be focused in on the Big Ten and stuff like that. But so I'm not as knowledgeable as everyone else.
Yeah,
as far as
DM me later. You'll laugh.
Yeah, okay, I'll DM you. But yeah,
right.
that's my spiel on Iowa. So hopefully we do well.
Go Hawkeyes.
Yeah, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
You're awesome, Erica. Thanks for coming.
All right. Hey, you guys want to stick around? We need more cowbells back for an encore.
Hey there.
Hey, how you doing? You're back.
Not bad.
Good to have you.
First, we just want to say that if Kirk Ferentz is going to fire his son, there's going to be a divorce in that family.
That's probably true.
Yeah. I wanted to get your thoughts about the current model of NIL and the sustainability of the finances of college football and college in general. And the first aspect is football, is NIL coming into football, more money coming into football? Does that support things like endowment, or are they competing for money?
They're competing for money.
Okay. Then the second question gets to be more relevant. What is a sustainable model for college football finances?
Oh, that was a fascinating discussion today that I think who hosted it. It was Pete Thamel, I think, hosted today at this Nebraska, this Arizona conference they had in DC today. That fascinating debates on the NIL issue. I'll give you my 2 cents and would love to hear Will and Jackson's. I think they need to move. One of the problems that they had is that when this NIL first came out, the NCAA wanted it as far away from the schools as possible. They wanted the schools not involved. I think that when you give up control, you give up power, you give up decision making, and you give up control of the purse to all these random collectives instead of the school doing it, you end up with problems. I mean, they're going to hit the employee model anyway, probably. I think that's just a matter of time. But we'll see. And that's what they're in Washington literally today. Greg Sankey was all over Capitol Hill this morning talking to people about trying to get a federal solution. I don't know that Congress will get it to them or not. And it seems to me like a problem they can try to solve themselves. The struggle with that, which NCAA President Charlie Baker talked about a lot today, is that the states are all just sort of passing their own laws. And the states are passing laws that exempt the schools from having to follow the NCAA. So the NCAA can't just implement a solution. Not that the NCAA would implement a solution, because they never have, but the NCAA can't just step in and give a solution because the states have already overruled them. So it's going to be a mess. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I want. I think they should be able to. I don't know. I kind of want the government model this is kind of selfishly, but as an Irish fan, I know we're never going to pay players up front, like the SEC, and I think USC might be doing that too. I'm not sure. So if we can have some sort of government regulation on it, that would be great for the Irish. So I hope that happens. And also I think that the athletes that do get NIL, they need to hire an agent that wants the best for them, not just take advantage of them. So that's what I want.
There was a great quote today. A labor economist said, the problem is, he said, any switch from anti-competitive restrictions to fair competitive labor market will come with pain and transition.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, but you have that in things like the Federal Trade Commission.
Absolutely.
There's infrastructure to deal with this if there's the will.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, because I just don't see it as a sustainable model because, college football is regional. And there are just some areas.
Not the Big Ten.
Not the Big Ten, yeah. But even among schools, if you happen to be parked in and I'll use Stanford as a good example. Stanford has money coming over the transoms. He just doesn't want to support a football team for good reasons. It just prefers that money to go to endowment. Okay, that's great. But at some point, it has to decide, does it want to be a big time football program, or is this good enough, or is this a sideshow or a complement to what the real purpose of the university, and the real purpose of the university isn't football. They don't want it to be football, but there needs to be a conversation, particularly with things like the transfer portal or NIL. Is okay. What's the vision for what the purpose of university is? And there doesn't appear to be any consensus on that right now. I mean, you have everything from Wild West capitalism to not my backyard.
You know what? I'll tell you though, you should read. And if anybody gets a chance, go to the library. It's out of print, so you got to get it at a library. Otherwise, it's like $300 online or something. And look up the book "Roses from the Ashes" by Glenn Seaborg, who's the professor who founded the Pac-12, Nobel Prize winner, who also discovered plutonium. But he talks about the issues of the 1950s, which is when they were debating paying the players, when they were debating scholarships, and it's literally the same, and the complexity of what they talked about in 1957 is exactly the same stuff that we're talking about today with NIL. They were just talking about it in terms of scholarships. And the funny thing is, the same schools had exactly the same problems and exactly the same thoughts in 1957 that they have today. And Stanford had a different way of cheating. UCLA had a different way of cheating. USC had a different way of cheating. Cal didn't cheat quite as bad. Oregon was a pain. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen. If you get a chance, it's called "Roses from the Ashes." You can get it at the library.
I will have to get a copy of that.
Yeah, it's a riot, because literally, I mean, I've sent people, you guys probably haven't seen it, shows where I've done this, where I put up a quote and I was like, "Oh, what do you guys think about this comment from the Oregon president?" And they're like, "Oh my God," well, and they'll talk about it, and I'll be like, "Yeah, that was from 1957."
Yeah, because
it's the same argument as today.
The same economic forces are out there. They haven't changed a bit. There's just no consensus on how to deal with it. So this has to be then a transitory phase between what we have now and something else, because it's inevitable that you're going to pay players, and it's inevitable that if you're going to pay players, they're going to unionize. That's just how it works. So you're going to have to figure out, do you look at an NFL model where you spread out the money amongst, and you won't have 60 teams to do it. You're going to have a smaller Division I.
Well, and I'll give you another NFL model of something they should do. And I don't want to go on forever on this. I know we got to wrap up in a minute because we got to get to the USC show. But I don't know if you guys know about this, but about 15 years ago, the NFL and the NFLPA put together a joint program with the Harvard Business School and the Wharton School at Penn. And upcoming NFL stars go to like this, I think it's like 2 or 3 week boot camp. And it's almost like a business school boot camp for athletes to be able to sort of like rapidly be taught like how to be ready to manage the business enterprises that they're taking over, and the how to manage their agents and manage their financial advisors and stuff like that, that the business schools put together. And I think every school in this country should be putting together something like that for its student athletes. Certainly every big Power 5 school.
Oh, absolutely. But again, that's the stepping stone to something bigger.
Yeah.
And what that bigger is, we're still trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's going to be a good question.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show.
Good to talk to you.
All righty.
All right,
everyone.
All right, we got one last caller before we got to go to switch over to the USC show. Let's welcome Christopher Foote.
Hey, Tony.
How you doing?
Hey, Will.
What do you think? What do you think of the Big Ten schedule?
Well, looks like somebody knows what to do there. I mean, they're going to put there's a lot of good teams to select and put them in the right groupings, and so I'm happy, I guess. Looks good to me. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I did a little brainstorming, and this is what I discovered. I already kind of threw it in the chat comments, but I think with if they ever decide to expand to 24 teams, I think what that actually does with 9 conference games is that without really having to even do anything other than just play the games, I think what that would do, that would advance 3 teams of the 24 into it would put them in the top tier of postseason tournament.
Okay.
It's because if you want to know what the reason, it has to do with the fact that every team playing in a conference, the 9 game, it's kind of like, it's not really round robin because, I mean, you have more teams, I think, than games, but it would, if you did it in a way that every team, I guess, plays kind of like what they were doing. It looks like they kind of got that going on anyway. But with 9 games, what that does, it would put 3 teams, I think, in the top tier. And if they include 24 teams, you wouldn't have to have like any elimination at all. You wouldn't have to, I don't think. And so that might be one thing. And percentage-wise, you might want to know the percentages. That's 1/8, which is 0.125, which is if they did the same thing in the NFL, which that would be equivalent to having, instead of, what is it they have, is it 16 to 32? They'd only have 4. So it would diminish it by about a quarter from what the NFL does. But that's one way to advance teams in a tournament. You wouldn't have to even have I don't think you'd even need a tiebreaker. It would just, the 3 teams, they would rise to the top. It's kind of like a natural effect of having that in place. I don't know if you knew that. I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah. So I put together, it was just a discussion thing we did on a podcast, I don't know, 3 years ago or something, that looked at what you could do to actually integrate conference championships into the playoff structure in a very NFL style. So
sure.
Who knows what we'll see. We got a number of years, but it's exciting because we got the first 2 of them mapped out.
Well, no, but I guess my point is, with 12 or 24 teams, what that does is you don't need any. I mean, the 3 teams they would just rise to the top. It's kind of like the cream rising to the top of milk. I mean, it just would. That's what would happen. You wouldn't have to even have. You wouldn't have to worry about which teams they would be. They would show themselves over the course of the season. Yeah.
It could be.
If you advance teams, that would put 18 teams in the tournament. 18.
Okay. Nice.
So,
hey, I'm sure it's a model they'll take a look at.
All right. I just thought I'd share that with you.
No, I like it. I like it. I always like looking at those ideas, all the neat ideas for what they could do, because here's the thing, guys, and Chris, you know this. They're gonna bid that out in, was it 2 years? I think it gets bid out.
I don't know.
It may have a whole different model, so we'll take a look.
But it's the result of.
You should write it up and send it to Bill Hancock.
No, I already did, but it's the result of 9 games, and you have to play all 12 games, though. It's the only thing. You can't have a diminished schedule. You have to have 12 games, but 9 of them conference games for it to work.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, thanks, Tony.
Cool.
Have a good day.
Hey, thank you. All right, guys. I've been. Okay, good to see you. Thanks for calling, Chris. And guys, as we get ready to wrap up here, I know Tim and Matt are going to go live on the USC Voice of College Football channel in just a minute with a special USC preview of the Big Ten schedule. As we get ready to wrap up here, Will, Jackson, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just excited for this new schedule. Excited to see USC Michigan, USC Ohio State, and USC Penn State. And hey, hopefully the Bruin Chip can keep the ball rolling, develop Dante into a Caleb Williams caliber quarterback. I mean, they're different quarterbacks, but and stuff. And yeah, hopefully the Irish can keep it going on the recruiting. Our Texas pipeline's going strong. We got another big recruit. So yeah, excited for the future of the Irish and the future of the Big Ten.
Oh man, my mind is still blown about some of the conference games, like Michigan USC being a conference game. That is gonna be awesome. And in 2025, Michigan, USC Ohio State being a conference game, that's a mind blower too. Wow, USC Penn State. Oh man, it's
gonna be a blast.
Oh, it most certainly is. UCLA Michigan State being a conference game. That's amazing. All of these games are going to be fun to watch in 2024 and 2025. That it's going to be amazing.
All right, and everybody, head over to the link is in the chat. Head over to the USC Voice of College Football channel and talk to Tim and Matt about what's coming on. Hey, I just want to wrap up. First of all, I want to thank you guys for joining us. Thank Mark Rogers for, giving us the keys to the car to hold down the fort for the night. John and I really appreciate it. We're glad to have you. I'll just, on a personal note, guys, as a Big Ten kid who grew up in Big Ten country, loving the Spartans and the Wolverines, and a USC Trojan, seeing this schedule has just had me grinning the whole night. It's so exciting. It's exciting for USC. It's exciting for the Big Ten. And I guess we'll just wrap up by saying, fight on, Big Ten. We'll see you guys all soon. Everybody, have a safe week.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in.
Wow. And we're still alive.
Did Tony forget to turn it off?
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Well, Tony.